back
Third
again
episode.
for 3 episodes now. Man, I feel like we're finally getting into a group.
3 episodes, I guess, if you want to count this as the second official episode.
That's true. That's true. We're still not sure if we're using that first one.
It's already public, so
It
it's
is
out.
public, but it's like I think that's more of like a extra. I don't count that one.
Okay, well, I'm sure people will. So
People can. I don't count it. That's our test episode. Yes, last week's is gonna be my official first one. I think that's how I look at it.
yeah, probably.
So, sir, how are you doing? What have you been up to?
Doing pretty good. Watched The Suicide Squad today.
I watched that last night. Do you want to go first? I kind of want you to go first since you watched it much like just not long ago.
I'm more fresh with it.
Yeah, you're more fresh. I want to hear your takes. Your take fresh off.
Do we want to go into spoilers, or do we just want to go into?
You know what? No, yeah. Let's say
we'll
spoilers
do a
here.
spoiler-free discussion. We'll do a spoiler-free discussion.
What? I want to do a spoiler full discussion. I want to go balls deep on them spoilers.
Okay, we'll just go into a general discussion. We'll just go into a general discussion, and then we will give a spoiler warning.
Okay, that sounds like a good idea. We'll get. I like that. You go first.
Since this probably won't go out until the next week, so
yeah, we could also put timestamps. Like, if you want to skip it, yeah.
That's too much work, anyways. Anyway, the general rule is 2 weeks before you talk about spoilers. I think that's the unspoken rule. I think it is on the internet.
Okay, 2 weeks. Okay.
Well,
yeah, we shouldn't do it hours after. That's probably a good point.
I will. Well, it did come out a week ago in the UK, overseas, I think.
True. So when this episode drops, it'll be around 2 weeks. So we could do a full spoiler review.
But we don't have UK listeners yet, so.
That's true. Our listener base is pretty single digit.
It's almost in one state.
Hell yeah. I like it. We're almost to double digits. I've showed a couple people.
I showed a few people.
We might be in double digits now, right? I made sure a couple of them liked our videos.
So, you made sure they liked it?
Yep. I held them down, or I held their phone, I pushed their face away like a Heisman Trophy, and I liked our videos. I was like, there, you are permanent Poptards subscribers.
You're going to like the Poptards. I guarantee it.
It likes the video or else it gets the hose again.
It pushes the subscribe button. Or it gets the ads again.
I like your impression better.
I will say The Suicide Squad was really good. I really enjoyed it.
Dude, I think it is The Suicide Squad. And I loved...
No, that's what it's called. It's called The Suicide Squad.
But you know what I'm saying. I'm saying the with the capitalist letters. Like, I loved David Ayer's Suicide Squad. I really did. I as much shit as it did, I actually really liked that movie. But this movie kicked that movie in the balls.
The great thing, too, is you don't have to have watched that first one.
No.
Because, just to clarify, this is a soft reboot / sequel.
Yeah.
So
only a couple characters return. And so it's soft and it stands alone on its own. Like, you don't need to see anything else. You don't even need to see movies.
You really don't. But I will say, despite how objectively bad the first one is, it does help set up some of the characters. But
it does.
None of it is relevant in Gunn's Suicide Squad.
No.
I'll say James Gunn Suicide Squad. Yeah, he took a few parts here and there, but other than that, it's its own movie as far as I feel. And I think it's the Suicide Squad we should have got the first time.
I agree. I think there was definitely... I mean, we'll talk more about the original one, but this movie was really, really freaking good. Like, you're absolutely right. This thing is... I mean, if you were able to take the DC character, like, flavor off of it, it's still a badass movie. Like, it's a fun ride. I mean, it's violent and gory and vulgar as hell, and I love all those things. And
Well, I was gonna say that it being rated R after watching it, I don't outside of the gratuitous violence and F
vulgarity.
bombs, I guess, I I don't see why it would have been a rated R in our day and age of what you can get away with PG-13 because there's only two scenes where you need that R, and there's the scene where they're at the club and they're going out
Yeah,
the back,
yeah,
and
that
there's
bizarre.
like there's the literal 1 second of boobas,
Yeah.
and that's it. And then I think there's
My,
something
we
else.
talked about this. I mentioned it earlier when you were texting me while watching it. I had that moment, like the gore in the beginning. Slight spoiler. I won't say exactly what happens, but there's a nice big battle opening gore in the beginning,
If I
and
was gonna say the beginning of it was fantastic because
really was.
I heard I read somebody describe it as the opening to Saving Private Ryan, but as a comedy.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting that.
Yeah, that opening beach scene where they land and then it just goes to shit. It was that, but with comedy.
You know the thing I'm going to say. That's not too much of a spoiler, right?
No, I won't say who died,
No. I'm
but
saying my issue with the R rating that I mentioned earlier. That's not too much of a
oh,
spoiler. I can say that now, right?
yeah, sure, yes.
I'll say it this way: there's a scene in the movie where there's a somebody says a line and it's just fucking pussy, and that moment,
Oh,
as
yeah,
much as there was vulgarity and violence and all that, like it felt it felt like it belonged when it was happening. Even the gratuitous, goofy violence, it felt like it fit. For some reason, when that happened, I had that nervousness of like, oh fuck, like James Gunn got the R rating and was like, well, everybody has to be the vulgarest version of themselves because I have an R rating, and that's not what ended up happening. Like everybody
no,
does swear and shit, but that moment gave me that worry of like, oh god damn it, because like
yeah,
I want to be able to tell, like my dad has gotten in the past couple years into comic book movies and shit because of me. I'd like to take credit for. Um, Actually, probably not, because he's the reason I'm into comics in the first place. He bought me this big badass Batman book. But like, I want to be able to tell him, hey, you should see this movie. But if it's everybody saying fuck and pussy and all that every sentence, he won't watch it. And I
yeah.
want to be able to watch it with him. And so I was worried for a moment, and then
I
I still recommended it to him. So
I was gonna say, yeah, there's a lot of it that is still incredibly enjoyable. That
yes,
because the Idris
there was
Elba's
really only a
character,
couple moments like that for me that felt
I
kind of forced. There was only a
was gonna
couple
say,
moments. Everything else
it,
was great.
yeah, I was gonna say because of Idris Elba, he's playing, an Australian version.
Was he? I thought he was
I,
just doing his own accent. I thought
no,
that was an Australian accent.
no, he's British.
Yeah, I was about to say that's not an Australian accent he
No,
was
it's
doing.
not. He's using an accent you would expect to say the F word a lot. We'll just say that.
Yeah, dude, the British accent is one of the best, and his flavor. Oh, it's not Cockney. His is more.
No, it's an exaggerated British accent or of his own accent. So just because
Like,
it gives the character like a harder edge, I guess you could say, and it
yeah.
makes sense when you watch the movie. Like there's one like he plays a. Of course, they're all criminals. They're all scum, and the movie makes you like them for good reasons.
Yeah,
But they're
his phone call scene,
with his
the
daughter at
meeting,
the prison.
that was phenomenal. I loved every minute of that. Like, it took a great ride where it was funny and had that little heartfelt moments, and like I
It
thought
was
that was a
heart.
phenomenal scene.
It was heartfelt. Like out of it's like a 3 minute
It was
scene.
real. Like, it
I'll say
felt
it's a
real.
3 minute scene, but for like the first minute, it feels heartfelt, and then she's like, "You're just a piece of shit, dad," and then they're just throwing the f balls back at each other. Like, all right,
Like
was it?
it was funny, but it I thought that scene was really good, man. Like, I
No, it was
thought
really
that
good.
had a fucking, it really hit good. Like,
It really
that
hits.
felt
Yeah.
really really real.
It was
Like,
really nice too. It was just it's funny because I think I only saw the first two. I don't know how many trailers dropped for this movie. I'll say three, maybe.
mhm.
I only watched them when they first released, and I don't know if we ever got like. I'm sure we did get a character introduction. Idris Elba's Bloodsport, but I don't remember them ever mentioning him being called Bloodsport. I'm sure that's
uh,
something I missed. Did I?
are you saying in the trailers or
In the
in?
trailers, yeah,
I th- well, I know he did a big like at Comic Con or something. They dropped a big like 5 to 10 minute video of like
yeah,
behind the
but
scenes shit, and I think
yeah, it
that
was
had
like
one.
established that he was Bloodsport, though.
But well, I'm trying to think. They had a couple trailer, one of which I don't think had any actual footage, but it was the the character announcement trailer, and it was all
Yeah,
animated. Every character in the movie, in
yeah.
terms of villains.
I mean, of course, everybody when we got John Cena's Peacemaker, everybody's like, "Holy shit, it's John Cena! He's playing
Who
this goo."
can we take a moment to fucking appreciate John Cena?
In just a minute, yes, I agree. He was fantastic, but I want to get back to Bloodsport and
Okay,
why I appreciate that. For one, this is again a soft reboot slash sequel because a lot of people who aren't paying attention will think Idris Elba is Will Smith's
Deadshot.
Deadshot. And that's when he was first announced, they
Racist
market
who can't
they
tell the difference between
no no
black.
no no. No, hold on. Because when they announced Idris Elba was being casted for the movie, there was
Everyone
no
thought it was a recast.
confirmation. Yeah, there's no confirmation that he was playing anyone else other than Deadshot. It's just like, oh, he's being casted for Deadshot. It's like, looking back at it, nobody really confirmed that.
I I really want to say that the trailers had. I know that character announcement trailer definitely said it,
I,
Bloodsport, but
I
right.
was gonna say if Bloodsport was ever said in any mainstream announcement, I completely missed it
I'm pretty sure
because
it did.
because it wasn't something I was following heavily. But
Yeah.
when they announce or when they call him Bloodsport, I was like, "Hey, you're not Deadshot." And then I had to do a quick reminder that Bloodsport has been taken. It was an alias taken on by a couple different characters, but the
Oh, is
main
it?
one,
I didn't
yeah,
know.
I think there was two or three different DC characters. No one like in particular, but it was an alias used by like various high-ranking criminals of that caliber.
Yeah.
But uh, the one that they did use was a black guy named Dubo, and so that's Idris Elba's character is Dubo. So
Well, I mean, it was probably Dubois.
or Dubois.
Well, that if it's spelled Dubois, it's Dubois.
Okay, it's Dubo. How about Debo?
Doesn't have the same ring. Sounds cooler as Dubois.
So anyway, Debo Bloodshot is in this movie.
Man, and I really dug the way they did his weapons. The way they just kind of came
Oh
off
yeah,
a little part of his suit. That was really freaking cool.
he's got a fun little Nerf gun attachment
Yeah, man. Oh, yeah, the
fiasco.
big gun.
Yeah, where like
Oh, it's in the
it.
trailer. We can say that one.
No, I mean, yeah, it's not a spoiler by any means, but his gun starts off as like this little shitty looking. Uh, what are those handheld crossbow
It
guns? I can just call it a handheld crossbow.
like one of
It,
those
loo-
Nerf crossbows.
it looks like a handheld Nerf crossbow, and then there's a point at the end of the movie where it turns
He
into a
just starts
full on.
clipping fucking everything else, like grabbing shit from his thighs and shit, and just
Yeah,
clipping his gun, and it became massive.
he's essentially a half-assed human Swiss Army knife, where he's got the
For
attachments
guns
for his gun.
and flamethrowers and swords and shit.
Oh yeah.
Like, he had all kinds of goodies in that suit. I love
Hmm.
the mask or helmet, like the
Oh
design
yeah.
of that. Like I tried watching it and like slowing it down to see. I think that fucking the jaw,
The
like
bottom half is
skull.
like a skull and everything.
But I think it retracts up into the mask when he takes it off. Like it all folds into the forehead helmet piece. Like I tried to slow it down. It's such a really
There's
good.
a
All the
there's a
design in this movie
I
are
was
really
gonna say there's a scene where he has taken the helmet off and he grabs it from like the under the chin area, and then it collapses in on itself into like a little handheld thing that he just clips to his
Oh, so
back.
even the helmet like folds down into something tiny that he puts on it.
Yeah,
I didn't notice that. That's cool.
yeah. Think of it as like if Tony Stark wanted to keep his helmet in his back pocket.
Instead of it just going into the collar.
Yeah.
Dude, that's another thing. Like I know that, like that I think is hilarious is becoming so prevalent in the Marvel movies. Is they were just like, well, Tony did it. He probably gave it to everybody else, and so fucking everybody's helmet or mask just sucks into their
You
collar.
get nanotech, and you get nanotech.
Tony Stark, the Oprah of the Marvel world.
Pretty much. But
Back
yeah,
to Suicide Squad.
I was gonna say the opening scene. If you watch the trailers and you're intrigued by certain characters, don't get attached to them. Just watch the movie because the opening 5 to 10 minutes kind of blows all that out of the water.
That was something I really enjoyed, though. The fact that it felt like after, like anybody was fair game. Like James Gunn had free reign to do whatever the fuck he wanted, and it made me pay closer attention. Like I was in after the opening scene.
Oh yeah.
Like I was already excited to see this movie, as you know, but after that opening scene, I was hooked. There was nothing else to do.
Yeah, because like later on in the movie, there's a death scene that kind of really surprised me.
Yeah, I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
But, oh my god, yes.
I was like, oh my god, really? They did that.
Yeah, and the way they do it too. Like we'll get into that in a little bit more when we do spoilers.
Yeah, when we do spoilers.
Wow, that was surprising. I didn't expect that at all. So something to look forward to. Surprising deaths.
One other thing before we get to John Cena and how great he was in this movie. This is probably the best.
Squad. You should expect death.
You should. Which they comment on in the movie early on. It's like, that was that's a little bit degrading. We're going by Task Force X.
Yeah, I thought that was great. Also, just to touch on that, another funny line, again, it's in the trailer, is when they have the thinker on the rooftop. He's like, you give us bad information, you're dead. You try to escape, you're dead. And Harley walks up. We find out you have personalized license plates. Dead.
Oh, yeah. I forget Rick's follow up to that. Essentially, it was like
he kept saying no, and then she goes, "If you cough without covering your mouth," he goes, "None of those three things are true. Although that is not an open invitation to cough with your mouth open."
They're not qualifications for your death, but they're on the table essentially.
Pretty much.
I will say this is probably the best version of Harley Quinn that we've had in the DCEU.
I agree. I really did like. I loved Birds of Prey. I really thought that movie was great too.
I have to watch that because I can't.
No, you haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it yet because I know you and one of our other friends mentioned that y'all liked it, and I was not attracted to that movie to begin with. So I will give it a chance.
Let me give you a short, like the good things, some things to look forward to. Ewan McGregor's performance in that movie is astounding. It is great. He looks like he's having the most fun.
I would assume he would look like he was having fun with it.
He looks like he's having a blast, and the whole movie is just really cool. Like, think of it like this going in. It's a story being told from Harley's perspective. So there's things that are going to happen that, like, it's like The Hobbit. Your storyteller is an unreliable narrator.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the narrator's Harley Quinn. So that's what... to give you an idea of how the movie's going to feel. That's your reference. But it's got really good parts. But I agree, Harley in this movie was fucking awesome. Like I like that they showed how badass she can be. Like her escaping from that place.
Prison, the little jail.
Yes. After,
a holding facility.
Yeah, that place. That was so fucking sweet. Like the visuals of that whole scene, like it made it kind of called back to that Birds of Prey where she's fighting off the guards with. Oh, sorry. Well, You haven't seen Birds of Prey. So I'm not
It's
spoiling
been
it.
out long enough. You can spoil
Have
it.
you? Okay, there's a scene in Birds of Prey where there's I just didn't want to spoil it for you.
No, I don't care.
She's fighting guards in a impound or something, trying to get her shit, and she's got a shotgun that
Mhm.
shoots those like confetti balls, like they're non-lethal rounds, and she's firing these non-lethal rounds that like explode into confetti and hitting the guards in the face and shit. So it's implied she's not killing them.
Right.
But it that whole her escape scene in this movie made me think of it just because of the colors and all
Yeah.
that. It was really neat.
I think they tried, didn't they? I will say I saw several fight scenes from that movie and they looked bad. And because there's the one fight scene where it's the girls kicking security people's butts on a merry-go-round of some sort.
Oh, okay. I know what scene you're talking about.
Oh god, that looks so bad. The
It's not. I mean,
it
it's
it was rough to watch. I will say I will still watch the movie with a mostly open mind.
you. I think like what was it about that threw you off? I thought that was a.
There was technical BS that just shouldn't have happened. Like I have you heard about the complaints about the throne fight scene from The Last Jedi?
I think so.
Okay,
Tell me about it real quick.
I'll point out during that scene,
Where she almost gets
when
stabbed and the knife disappears. Like I heard
there's
that one.
well, no, there's that scene, and then there's the other part where it's happened in several other movies. One of them, I remember, I think, was The Dark Knight Rises. Yeah, the one with Catwoman.
Oh, where the guy's falling down in the background, not being hit.
Yeah, there's one of those, and
There's
then
shit like that happening in Birds of Prey. I can't
yeah,
deny that one.
yeah. So it was just technical stuff like that, and the choreography for me was just kind of an eyesore. When like in our day and age, that shouldn't be happening. Um,
Wow. See, I don't agree with that. I thought the choreography was good.
well, that's
It's
fine.
surprising to me.
You're blind to it. It's fine.
I'm not blind. I like I thought it was decent. Like they going through. It was just almost a one shot thing where they're kind of going around everybody, or at least it was. I think it was a simulated one shot at least. Uh,
Yeah,
but I kind of dug it. It went around, gave everybody a moment to show them kicking ass, and like
yeah.
I thought it was really.
I'll have to watch it. I'll probably watch it later tonight. Maybe.
To me, it was a good that fight you're talking about. It's in the part of the big finale, and it's
Yeah.
like it. I thought it was a good showcase of like showing off how their different fighting styles worked. Like
Yeah.
Dinah's kind of all kicks, and uh, Huntress is just pummeling motherfuckers, and Harley's doing flips and shit. Like I thought it was a really neat way of doing that.
Yeah. I'll have to
And
watch it, and then I'll come back and
you,
criticize it more.
I think you should, yeah, because even if it comes back with criticism, I think that would be entertaining.
Yeah.
Because there's things to make fun of for it. Like I'm not gonna deny and say that, but I think as a whole, I really enjoyed it. But Harley in this movie was a real treat. Like I thought
I was gonna because I was gonna say my favorite. The good thing I won't say it was one of my favorite things, but the good part about it was even though Harley does have a big presence, she's not the focus of it. Like
Yeah.
they kind of try to make it in the first Suicide Squad movie.
Yeah. James
They
does real well with balancing a group,
he
balancing a group cast.
I was gonna say because of Guardians of the Galaxy, like he's done great with those movies, and so he's been given, he was given mostly free reign to do this, and his Guardian, it's pretty much Guardians of the Galaxy with the hard rating. So
That okay, yeah, especially because like half his cast comes back.
yeah, I'm not saying that because there's like certain beat per beat things that happen between both movies, but it's like if he was allowed to give in Guardians of the
It's not the
Galaxy.
same movie, but it has that
No.
kind of flavor of he's really good about like having a group cast and everybody getting their shine and
Yeah, everybody gets their moment. And it's really good. I will say that even though King Shark and Polka Dot Man, like they did great in this movie, they didn't do a whole lot narratively. Like
No.
if they weren't in the movie, the plot wouldn't change at all. But
Yeah.
It was fun having them in it.
I thought Polka Dot Man was gonna get his big moment. You know the moment I'm talking about.
Oh,
I
yeah,
thought it was
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
happen. I was
Oh man.
so ready for it. I was so ready for it.
Oh,
Uh, but I do love what happens. Like it was.
yeah.
God.
It was pretty.
Yeah, they. You're right though. They definitely could have been taken totally out of the film, and everything still
Yeah.
would have happened. Well, actually, no. I won't say that for King Shark.
I guess we can talk about that in the
I
spoiler part.
okay.
And
But
then I
John
guess
Cena,
John Cena for the final part of this
dude.
whole thing. John Cena really surprised me.
Yeah, the other standout of this film. Like, I think this movie's gonna help a lot of people really appreciate that dude was fucking great.
He
Like,
was fantastic.
yeah, man. Like Cena's he's done since he's had this new return to Hollywood. Like he's been doing some raunchy comedies, and I
I
want
was
him to do so much of that because his timing is fucking impeccable.
I was gonna say, I think after he tried to do a handful of solid, like really serious action movies, where he almost got thrown into that pit of playing the same character in different movies, like a lot
Yeah,
of aging action stars do nowadays. He found his niche between his character on WWE, where he's got some dry humor and quick witted timing, and then
yeah.
implementing that into some of the raunchy comedies he's done. I think that's really helped him get more verse as an actor, and it really shines through in this movie
Hmm.
because there's the scene where it's not a spoiler or anything. The scene where they're going to save another character, and him and
Oh,
Idris
the
Elba are going
competition.
through. They're going through the camp, and they're just trying to one up each other.
Oh my god, I love
Uh,
that scene so much, especially the result.
oh yeah,
Oh
and
my! I saw that coming so hard, and it still cracked me up.
oh yeah,
Like I
it was
saw that
pretty
shit
funny.
coming when they were halfway through the camp, and I was like, it still got me. I will say though about Cena's timing, like if you like John Cena and want to see more, you should go check out. He did a thing years ago with WWE when he was WWE champion, like old school where like fucking what was the fake gang shit he was doing? It was like it wasn't
Uh,
G Unit, but it was something
it
similar.
was he was like the doctor of thugonomics and stuff.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
when I think it was post Thugonomics, but he had this segment on WWE.com called Five Questions with the Champ, and it was fucking hilarious, dude. He is art like it showed the John Cena that we're seeing now doing all these crazy roles. He was very
Hmm.
himself in that and doing like when
He's
he
more.
swore, it was like they had a funny bit about censoring him and shit. Like if you
Yeah.
like John Cena, it's definitely worth a watch. It's really funny.
Yeah.
But and I'm really glad he's getting to do cool shit like that, like this, where he gets to show off both his acting chops, his and shit, but he's also hilarious.
Yeah. It was funny because like he's supposed to be playing a very serious character,
Yeah,
but some of the comedy that comes through is pretty hilarious. Like when they're doing the debriefing or
like
when they're
he's
getting
still
the
playing a
briefing.
straight man.
Yeah,
Like he's super serious, but it's oh my god. Go ahead, go ahead.
I was gonna say there's the scene where they're getting the briefing on their mission and everything, and they're in that meeting room, and they're talking about the
Operation
starfish and
Starfish.
Operation Starfish, and he's like, "Question: Starfish is like term for butthole. Is there any connection?"
And she said no, and he fucking wrote it down. He fucking made the note. Nope, not connected. I fucking, he was so great. And like, so many of the funniest moments in this movie are John Cena's.
Yeah, it really is. There's a lot of drama in it that does happen. That's something that I noticed was like it opens up strong. There's a solid like first 30 minutes or so, and then about halfway through they start kind of getting off rail. It gets kind of bogged down, but by the end of the movie it picks back up and it ends great. Which I guess
Yeah, they've got
James
that
Gunn,
chunk in the middle of just
I was
character
gonna say
stuff.
it's kind of an issue James Gunn has every other movie he does, because it was kind of like that for Guardians 2. Like, I love Guardians 2,
Well, I
but it
mean,
kind
but
of
you do need a lull in the. It can't be all nonstop action. Like you do need a
well,
lull
that's
so
true,
characters
but
can breathe and have these personable moments between them
yeah, I
and
know.
stuff like that.
But it was a minor bogged down moment halfway through the movie, but like I said, overall the movie
Bogged
was
down
good.
character development.
Yeah.
Tomato, tomato.
Um but yeah, it was really good, and I'm hoping the next few whatever, I don't even know what the next DC movie would be. Is it
I don't.
Aquaman 2?
No, I want to say it's Shazam. Or no, I think that's in production
Black
right
Adam?
now. No. Shazam's sequel. I think that one's
Shazam 2. Oh.
yeah, Fury of the Gods.
I don't even
I'm gonna
know.
check real quick because
They're all over the
feel
place. They don't even know
underprepared.
what they're DC doesn't even know what they're doing anymore.
Well,
Uh
I hope like Jeff Johns, right? Isn't that who's
yeah.
basically their Kevin Feige? Jeff Johns is one of my favorite comic writers. Like I hope that he's doing the type of shit Feige's doing. Like, all right, everybody, let's get on fucking track and like that's what DC needs is a Kevin Feige. Like for
To
want of
an
a better phrase.
to an extent, they need somebody who can give a proper structure. And initially, Kevin Feige was that, but I mean, Marvel's kind of going off rails now, in my opinion.
Yeah, we've had that. Agree to
Yeah,
disagree, but I I like I'm hoping like I'm very hopeful because these are properties that we love and like I'm very hopeful that shit can straighten out and they can get on some kind of a pattern. Like even if they just do a bunch of standalone movies and don't have a connected universe,
I
like
think that's what
Marvel
they
does.
should do.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea too. Like as much as I love the shared universe thing, like I like this big broad world Marvel has created. Um, but I don't think it'd be a bad idea for like okay, here's a theory. Let's throw out a scenario. What if DC does uh like post their Flashpoint movie? Because let's say their Flashpoint movie does something similar and breaks into a multiverse, right? And they just released a bunch of standalone DC films. So they introduced a Superman, they introduced a Batman, they introduced a blah 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 blah. And then somewhere down the line, we have like a Crisis of Infinite Earths crossover thing. So they've already established these people. They didn't have to be bogged down by any what did so and so do? Why wasn't so and so there? They would
Yeah,
have established all these characters with a movie or two, and then they bring them all together, and boom, now we have our big DC cinematic universe.
right. I mean, I'd be open to that. I don't think they're gonna get to where DC has been able to set themselves up at with the 10-year build up to Endgame, but
No, well, and see, I think a lot of people look at it like, well, they have to, like, how are they going to compete, do what Marvel's doing? Like, they don't
that was
necessarily
DC.
need
That was
to.
DC's mistake in the first
That
place, was trying to
was,
play
that was.
catch up.
Yeah, they tried to play catch up way too fast, and it did not fucking work because they didn't know what they were doing. I don't think they had like a real end goal. But there's also the catch of Justice League throwing that big wrench in the works. The
Yeah.
original Justice League that came out. We somewhere in the real multiverse, not the Marvel multiverse, but somewhere in our multiverse is a world where the tragedy that befell the Justice League production that made him Snyder leave the movie. Had that not happened, it's entirely possible that the DC Snyderverse, as it were, could have broaden them into this big because I fucking really loved the feel of the Snyderverse. Like it was totally different to the MCU, where the MCU felt like science fiction, right? Where it's
Hmm.
everything's rooted in science. and they try to be as realistic as they can, like magic and shit with that notwithstanding. But even in Doctor Strange, they tried to explain magic to a degree.
Yeah.
Uh, like Marvel's whole
They
thing with
tried to
magic
ground
is
it.
that it's where their whole thing is with magic is like it's science you just don't understand.
Right.
Any sophisticated science would appear like magic. Isn't that the old saying? But
Hmm.
DC, on the other hand, felt they were doing mythology where they were telling stories about gods,
Yeah.
and even throwing out Batman in there. Like he's a man god. He is the peak of what a human being could be. And so, like, they were telling these stories of myths and legends while Marvel was over here telling stories about real people who also happen to be superheroes. In DC, it felt like the other way around. Like, they were these gods trying to be people, and Marvel was people trying to be gods. Like, it was, to me, it was
Yeah.
this whole flip side, and I loved what he was
In
doing. That's why I love the Snyder Cut so much. I think that's such a great representation of it.
Well, in comparison to DC characters are more godlike than Marvel, so
Yes. Like and that's what I'm saying. Like even it gave me the flavor that the comics gave, like the way they're different,
yeah.
as opposed to like the previous Batman movies and shit did not have that same feeling. Like the Nolan movies, as much as I love them and shit, they were like incredible Batman films. But this shit felt Snyder's stuff felt the most DC Comics.
Oh yeah, it definitely felt like a legitimate comic book adaptation. Like,
Yeah,
and it really sucks because if everything hadn't been so confunkled and whatnot, um, we probably would have gotten like one of the best Batmans from Ben Affleck.
dude, we already have the best Batman in Ben Affleck. Like I take Michael Keaton out of it because Michael Keaton was the original that made us
Well,
all
I
love.
just mean like a solo Ben Affleck
Oh,
Batman.
I gotcha. I gotcha. Yeah, we were robbed of the Batman Deathstroke movie because that
Yeah.
was what was supposed to happen, and we were fucking robbed of it. Now, in light, like to point out the Batman future though, like you were asking what movie comes next. I've got a list here now. The next thing I believe is the Batman. Looks like March
Oh, that's right.
4th.
That's right.
Comes out in March.
Pattinson.
Uh,
Pattinson.
yeah, Patman. Bat Pat. Um, like there's all kinds of weird like back and forth rumors coming out of this fucking movie about like Pattinson trying to like take control or being mad at Matt Reeves or there's
It's
this and that.
it's
Like there's
it
so many
sounds
back
like
and forth
from
ones
day
I
one of
can't.
production that whole movie has just sounded like a complete nightmare.
But see, that's what I'm saying is like we keep getting these reports of like the production, like from whoever the fuck is apparently leaking this shit, some insider source, but everything gets reviewed. Like not everything, but there's shit that like someone will come out and say that, and then someone from the production will be like, I don't know the fuck you're talking about. So like it
Well, of
could be
course
them
they would say that,
deflecting.
but
Exactly. Like it could be them doing that, but it could also be somebody stirring the pot for some reason. Like it felt too flip floppy. Like every day there was another thing, and it was different. It was like
well,
what the
I
okay,
remember one
whatever.
of the first. I remember one of the first issues was there was an argument between the director and Robert Pattinson because Robert Pattinson didn't want to bulk up. Like he just, from the way it was painted, made it sound like Robert was kind of being a child about it. He's like, no, I don't want to go to the gym. I'm fine.
Well, and here's another thing. Like Robert Pattinson does love to fuck with people. Like I've seen a lot of interviews and stuff he's done where he will like not just lie, but like he'll just make shit up for the interview just to fuck
Right.
with people. And it's like some of the stuff coming out could just be some of that. Of like Pattinson said a few times, and again, trolling people, like I kinda want you to all hate my Batman. Like jokes like that. Where like he's obviously putting in there's no way he's not putting in fucking effort. Like he's again, I made the joke before. Ben Stiller had a 6-pack for Meet the Parents. Robert
Yeah.
Pattinson is already all like usually in pretty good shape for like at the very least he's skinny fat.
Yeah, but I mean, it does make a little
And
bit
he's
of a
wearing a
difference.
suit. It
Yeah,
is, but as
but
long as his face looks fine, like he's probably not gonna have many shirtless scenes. And if he does, he's
yeah, but
probably jacked for that.
look at Ben Affleck though. Look how jacked
Ben
he got for Batman, and
But
that.
Ben Affleck was proving a point. ben
Yeah,
Affleck, Ben Affleck famously said he only took the Daredevil movie because he knew they'd never let him play Batman. And so when he got Batman, man, I think he was like, "I'm gonna fucking show all you bitches," like, because he got ridiculously jacked.
well, I mean, he
He got more jacked than Gymnasium Gordon.
um he bulked. He bulked up, and it like
That's true. He didn't get like shredded, but he got
no, he
big.
didn't get. Yeah, he got like what do you call it? Like it made sense for how jacked he was in the movie because like Bruce Wayne is supposed to be peak human performance
Yeah.
as you can get
It also
naturally
gave a
to an
it also
extent.
gave a credence to one of my favorite touches of Jared Leto's Joker is his teeth. Because if that Joker had been getting his ass beat by that Batman for that long, he definitely would have metal teeth.
They also, I never really thought about that, but at this point, from what we've seen from Batfleck, I'm honestly surprised the Joker is still alive.
That's a very good
Because
point.
because in Batman v Superman, he doesn't give a shit about anybody he's going after. He kills people.
Yeah, he did. Like
Like
they
he's
definitely
not
died.
he's not purposely trying to kill them, but he has no regard
Like
for
I'm gonna blow
criminal
up these
life.
cars. I'm gonna blow up these cars outside your base, and if you don't get out of the way of the explosion, that's not my problem.
I'm gonna drag this car behind my Batmobile, and if it flips and crushes a guy, so be it.
Yeah, he's got airbags. He's fine. Wayne Tech airbags.
I'm gonna chunk this huge wooden box into this guy's face, and if he dies,
That
so be
fight
it.
scene is the greatest presentation of Batman I have ever fucking seen.
That is my
That
favorite of all live action Batman scenes. That is my favorite Batman fight scene in
if
any
if you want
form.
to make it better, go on YouTube and find the version that's scored with Danny Elfman's theme.
Uh huh.
It will give you a nerd boner.
Oh
It
man.
is perfect.
My other favorite one was they added the Arkham game HUD to
I've
the
seen that one
scenes,
too,
and
with health bars and
they had
shit.
the combo meter going up.
Oh my god, yes.
Oh god, because like one of my favorite scenes in that fight scene was where I forget essentially he punches a guy downward so hard the dude scorpions and taps the
Oh
back of his
yeah.
head with his feet.
Fuck. And
I was
that's
like
the
they
dude
took
that
that.
shot him in the head too, if I remember
Yeah,
right.
I
The
was
one that
like, yeah, I was
is
gonna say they took that fight scene straight from the Arkham games,
oh yeah.
and that was something a lot of people said is like if you love these games, this is your Batman.
Yeah. Something I am looking forward to with this Pattinson's Batman is with it being a year two story. Um, like it'll be neat because then you can have more of a vulnerable Batman, like where he doesn't know what he's doing. Like you'll have that Batman Begins kind of flavor, and with all his villain, like fucking Colin Farrell's Penguin looks incredible. Uh, Him in that fat suit and shit. Like
Oh yeah,
I'm really digging just from the first trailer the vibe of the Gotham they're building. Like I'm digging this super gritty, ugly Gotham. Like I'm really digging, and we haven't even seen Andy Serkis's Alfred. I can't wait to see what he looks like. Like I'm picturing. Did you ever read Batman Earth One?
one or year one.
Or yeah, Year One. Yes, you're right. I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
I remember. I think I borrowed that from you and read it. Yeah,
where Alfred has the cane and shit.
yeah, yeah.
Um, that is honestly probably one of my favorite, like top five of storylines DC has ever put out. I fucking love
It
that
was
story.
great. It was
That
fantastic.
interpretation is awesome, and if they can take some of that and put it into this Pattinson's Batman, I'll be very pleased. Rumor is he wants the sequel to have do the Long Halloween or a version of that, which I had thought they were doing that in this one. Which I guess if that's the rumor, then it's not. Like
Yeah.
that's what it because. But I thought like everything we know about it makes me think Long Halloween, like the Carmine Falcone's in it. He's played by oh god damn it, what's that actor's name? He was the guy from remember I don't know why this is the reference popped in my head. Anger Management. Um, Adam Sandler's
Um,
anger ally, the sports guy or not sports guy. Oh my god, I'm blanking on his name.
who is he playing?
John Turturro. That's his
Oh,
name.
John Turturro. Oh, yeah.
He's playing Carmine Falcone. Um, I mean, fucking Riddler is not exactly the guy behind all that, but I figured he might be taking the place. I mean, with Catwoman and Penguin and all the other rumored
Oh,
like
yeah.
all the other rumored like cameos that they say might happen. Like it definitely makes me think Long Halloween, which I'm super excited for. I love that story.
I guess it may be just a setup for Long Halloween. So
Maybe. Like speaking of
now,
that, I still need to watch the animated one with Jensen Ackles playing
yeah, I
Batman.
haven't seen that
Like, I
either.
haven't
But
seen that yet.
I was gonna say, going back to the Batman,
Yeah.
and multiverse stuff. Do you see the Suicide Squad, uh, being a part of all that?
No.
Or do you
I
think the Suicide Squad is just like its own little sub universe thing?
I think it's probably just going to be its own thing. But I wouldn't mind seeing them cross over. I just don't see a logical way for them to do that unless this
I
is
don't either.
a future of Pattinson's Batman. But I
And
think this is more going to be like a swan song from that kind of version of the Suicide Squad because it still
I
did
think so
feel
too.
like the DCEU shit. But
And
talking
I
about
think
possible crossovers, I wouldn't mind if Joaquin Phoenix's Joker became his Joker and like did an older version. Like maybe
that's what a
it's
lot of people are really hoping for. I don't really see it happening, and I
I
know
don't either.
a lot of people want to keep the integrity the Joker made
It
for itself
yeah,
and just
and
make its own
I'm
thing. They don't
totally
want a
on board with
sequel or
that.
anything. And so am I. Like, it doesn't need a sequel. Like, it's a great movie on its own, and like you could apply it to like virtually any form of Batman.
Well, and the Batman, since it's kind of funny, the Batman, the Suicide Squad, but the Batman's is getting a spinoff that's going to be on HBO Max. It's already in development, and it's basically going to be kind of, I guess, like a new Gotham because it's going to follow the GCPD in Matt Reeves' Batman universe. But I'm
Isn't it
hoping
called
it's,
isn't it called Gotham PD or something like that?
I think so. So I'm hoping for like a procedural crime drama set in that world. Like, I don't need it to be where Gordon is a superhero. Just give me a cop show that takes place in Gotham because that would work
Like
just
Law and Order, but in Gotham.
well. No, more like uh well, fuck, like CSI or NCIS or something
Oh,
like that. Like one of those kind of crime
do you
procedurals.
remember a Michael Chiklis show called The Shield?
That would
Do you
I
remember?
have not. I've only seen a couple episodes of that, but that'd be a good way to do it.
I was gonna say that was a great gritty cop show.
See, I've been meaning to watch that.
It ended funky, but it's a great show. And Michael Chiklis, Fantastic Four, who plays the Thing, Michael Chiklis, he was really good at that movie or in that series, and I think they could probably do something like that with Gotham because the Gotham show we got with CW was
It had very strong moments, but like I said, like Gordon becoming basically a
it started off
superhero
strong.
was not it
Yeah,
for me.
yeah, no. Um,
Like,
I
I
don't know.
still loved the show. I really did. I thought the finale even did really well.
I
Even
fell off.
well,
I fell off after I think the second or third season, maybe.
did you see the finale? Did you check it out for curiosity's sake?
I think I remember it where it showed
It's like a
like,
time jump.
yeah, there was the time jump and it had like the brief Batman cameo.
Yeah. See, my
And
thing with that, like, I enjoyed in the finale of that. I know we're talking more of current movies and shit, but I'm gonna talk about this
yeah,
for a second. My thing with the finale of that is I thought they handled Batman very well. They treat him like Jaws, like he's there, his presence is felt, but he's not seen.
yeah,
Uh, it gives you that feeling of like seeing it from the bad guy's perspective of this dude just swooping in and fucking you up before you realize what's happening. Um, the thing that did kind of throw me off a little bit was, especially with his little cameo at the end, is Batman in that scene is that kid or that
yeah.
dude that
They
played him,
just
but
they
they
just did a
recast Selena,
funky.
which I
Oh,
get.
did they?
Yeah, they recast her because it's a time jump. It's like 10 years later, which they tell you about 500 times. Everybody fucking makes a reference of like, well, it's been 10 years. I've been in jail for 10 years. I haven't seen you in 10 years. It happens a lot.
Yeah,
um, so it does make sense, like, because that they probably didn't want to like give the girl fake bigger boobs and shit like that.
yeah,
She's a teenager. She was like, I think when this finale aired, she was like 17, maybe 18. I don't even think she was
yeah.
that old. She might have been 16. But I get not wanting to do that because Selena is a major focus in that episode.
Mhm.
Um, like not like Gordon's the focus, but she's the B plot.
Right.
Um, but it was neat, and then they showed that kid in the bat suit, and you can tell it's him. And I was like, why
Yeah.
didn't you recast him? Like, it's for a split second. You should have just had some dude with a good jawline.
My assumption is they just made a shitty bat suit for the kid. They're like, all right, you're gonna stand on this rooftop we built for 3 seconds, and that's
It
all we
wasn't
need.
the coolest bat suit I've ever seen, but it also
No,
is supposed to be his first bat suit, so it kind of makes sense. It is kind of a
yeah,
year one-ish suit, but
yeah.
it definitely could have been cooler.
Now, I was gonna say I'm gonna try to go back to the Suicide Squad because I don't know if we ever dove into the spoiler. I don't think we dove into the
No, we haven't done the
spoilers much.
spoiler talk yet. Do
Okay,
you want to do that now?
yeah, we could do that now. Might as well since we kind
Okay.
of veered off of it. Okay, so yeah, this is the spoiler plot. If you don't want spoilers,
Spoiling the shit out of it.
I don't
Maybe there's
know.
a graphic on the screen right now telling you to fuck off, but we're gonna spoil the shit out of this movie.
We might try to throw in a timestamp. I don't know.
I'm just gonna keep giving you shit about it.
Yeah,
Actually, wait, no,
into
I want to edit this episode, so I'm definitely doing it.
it. You could try. Yeah, sure. Okay.
I got this.
Okay.
Anyway,
Okay. So yeah, what's the first spoiler you want to get into?
um,
Do you want to open up with the beach scene with
yeah, let's just go through the whole movie. Like,
or
let's just
just
talk
what we
about everything.
remember? I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, start to finish, what we remember. That fucking Michael Rooker, number one.
It opens up with Michael Roker in the prison, and you think you kind of get a setup for what this guy is. Like he's got some sort of accuracy precision thing going on because he kills that yellow bird with the
Yeah, they
wall
build
ball.
him up so well for when he fucking flips. It was so great.
Yeah, it was.
They show him being this badass where he kills that bird by bouncing it off the wall, and
He's
then
a
they recruit
very
him. And
serious character. You don't know
super,
exactly
super
what he's
serious.
done.
Like you think he may have a bit of a heart because Weasel falls, and that is, oh my god, Weasel. Weasel is he is so criminally wasted because it was oh my god, like
Yeah,
him falling out of that thing and drowning.
yeah, when
Was
they're
amazing.
flying to the mission and they're in a cargo plane.
And now he just
And
has Corto Maltese to himself, by the way, with
oh,
a
that is true.
giant Starro for him to eat. Like
That is
he just has
very
that
true.
whole island to himself.
It was funny because like we're getting a similar character introduction to the first Suicide Squad movie, but it's a little bit more organic.
I'm not gonna lie, I do miss the way I did like the way David Ayer did the character introductions, and I did kind of miss that. But I did
Yeah,
like the way James did
it
it.
worked for what it was.
It
But
worked
yeah, I was
for
gonna say,
that. It wouldn't have worked here, but I did kind of miss that a little bit. We did get
I
badass introductions though. Like we got
yeah,
some good
I was gonna
ones.
say I do like the more organic introduction we got, especially with Nathan Fillion as TDK. And everybody,
He was so confident that he was winning that fight when his arms are over there slapping people, and it keeps cutting back to Fillion, and he just has this face like, "Yeah, I'm
he's
doing it."
determined. He knows what he's doing.
He is the main character of a movie that no one's watching.
No, we need to re-emphasize this. What's going on in this
What's
scene?
TDK?
Because
Yeah, TDK is the detachable.
Well, okay, well, I just in that scene. So we're gonna kind of jump back and forth. There's a cargo ride over to where they're gonna drop off at the beachhead, and then they're supposed to sneak into a compound, and then what's that
Which
SNL kid?
they fucking fall out, and the weasel bit
Well,
was great. Where it's
the
like,
whole
did
point
nobody
they're
think to
supposed to
see if
they're
weasel
supposed
could
to
swim?
drop off like some ways away, unspecified ways away from the beach, and then swim to the beach so they can get in like unnoticed and stuff. And I guess we'll
Everybody
start
drops
from
off
the
and is badass, and
yeah,
then
okay, so we'll start from the cargo scene and then try to get to the beach end. So
okay.
we're getting a very organic introduction to some of these characters that if you hadn't seen uh, the first Suicide Squad, you'll know who some of the people are, like Rick Flag, Harley Quinn.
Yeah. Let you know who's who, like Rick's the boss, Boomer and Harley are the wild cards.
Yeah, Boomerang. And again, they specify Idris Elba's Bloodsport, and I
Not
like
in the opening scene. Not in the opening
not
scene.
not in the
They didn't
opening
even show
scene.
us them.
No. But like we do know Bloodsport is Bloodsport and not Deadshot.
Yeah.
And one thing I really liked was before the cargo plane scene, when they are recruiting him and he's scrubbing the floors at the prison, and Amanda Waller's kind of giving the introduction to him, and
Yeah.
just casually drops that he dropped Superman with a kryptonite bullet and put him into the ICU.
Yeah. I'm not going to claim that I knew this before that, but I know that is something that Bloodsport did in the comics, but in the comics,
yeah,
it was brushed off. He got shot, the bullet got removed, and he wrapped up, and he was good. Superman was fine. But I do like that James used something like it's a deep cut. It's something for the fans of that character. And I thought that was really cool. Like if this was David Ayers, they would have given us a quick shot of somebody in a Superman suit.
That's exactly what I was thinking. If this was like the previous Suicide Squad, we probably would have gotten that scene, and I'm kind of glad we didn't get that scene because
I think it was way better to tell.
This is a movie where it's okay to use some headcanon because it's not really specified whether or not it's set in the same universe or not. Because again, it's a soft reboot / soft sequel.
Yeah.
So, who's that kid from SNL who plays
Pete Davidson?
Pete Davidson, yeah. So his character introduction was pretty funny. He's joking with the one security guard by reaching for his shoulder gun. He keeps reaching for it and then laughing at the guy.
That guard too. I think that was Ralph Garman.
Was it?
I think so. I'll have to double check, but I think that was Ralph Garman.
I haven't seen his face. I think it was actually.
Like Taika Waititi caught me off guard. Like I didn't even know he was in this movie.
Yeah, like, he plays the original Ratcatcher. Yeah.
Which that was so cool. Like when they showed like they're in the bus later on and she's talking about him and it shows him like in the reflection of the window as like her memory or whatever. I was watching it and I was like, is that Taika Waititi? And then it cuts away and I didn't think about it. And then it does the thing at the end where he has that really, actually really kind of beautiful speech about like rats are this disgusting, look down, like the most hated of all the species, and so I
Right.
want to give them a like that was a really cool moment. But as soon as he fucking started talking, I went, I knew it was Taika.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean there's the banter in the cargo plane. I think one of the first banners I remember was them trying Pete Davidson's character trying to figure out if
What
Weasel.
Weasel was?
Yeah, and so somebody's like, "Oh, is he a werewolf?" And he's flipping out. You sat me next to a werewolf.
Right, or right before that, he's like, "Is he some kind of dog?" And Boomerang is like, "A dog. What kind of dogs have you ever seen?" He's like, "I don't know all the dog breeds."
Oh, and TDK is like he looks like an Australian Shepherd or some shit. And
Yeah.
he's like, what breed do you know that has opposable thumbs?
Yeah, he's got bloody thumbs, mate. That thing with the picking on TDK to for the payoff later when his arms just float away.
Oh yeah,
Which was really good looking too. Like the way the fucking I can't talk. The bone sticking out that would have socketed into his shoulder.
Oh yeah. The funny part too is
good.
during that cargo plane ride, like they know his name is just TDK, but they don't know what it stands for, and he's like, "That's my name. Do you not have a name? That's just my name." He's like, "Your name is just letters."
All
Well, he's
names
like,
are letters.
Technically, all names are letters.
I feel like James wanted to use that joke again because he had used it in Infinity War.
Yeah.
Because like the Russos wrote the movie, or I think right? No, they're just the directors. They didn't write it, did they? Anyway, but James Gunn got to do the dialogue, a lot of the dialogue for the Guardians scenes, including that one. So like,
Yeah.
I like to think that he used it and was like, I don't want them taking credit. I'm going to use this joke again. Because that was a really good bit. All names are letters, mate. Terrible Australian accent. Fucking Jai Courtney, man. I was looking forward to more Boomerang.
Oh man, I was really surprised he got killed off at that beach scene.
Yeah, when they killed him off, that was my first clue of like, oh shit, I don't know who's safe anymore.
Yeah, so at the beach scene, TDK, Boomerang, Javelin, Mongol,
Almost everybody.
Blackguard. Yeah.
Mongal surprised me too. It was like, isn't she supposed to be more durable than that? She's burned to death.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, yeah. The funny part was she's like, "I've got the bird that jumps on it and like
it's like
makes it fly out of control," and that's when you realize, this is really bad. Because okay, so the beach scene opens up with them jumping out of the back of the cargo plane. Weasel jumps out after everybody else, and he starts drowning. Immediately starts drowning, and Flag is like, I think Amanda Waller was like, did no one check? Was it Flag? Okay.
Yeah, it was Flag.
Yeah, the Flag was like, did no one check to see if the Weasel could swim?
I fucking love that.
Everybody in the office, like back at HQ's, look at each other like, yeah, we didn't think about that. So Savant, what's his name?
Savant saves him.
Michael Roker saves him, and so that's when we're like, oh, like we're kind of getting some feelings towards Michael Roker's character here.
Yeah, he's got a heart.
He's got a heart, despite a guy who's serving 15 years for an unknown crime.
Despite a guy that looks like, Geralt the Witcher's dad.
Discount Witcher, yeah.
Yeah.
And so as soon as they get set up at the beach,
and he makes it to the beach first too, carrying Weasel.
Yeah, he gets to the beach. And so after everybody's like sitting behind like mud pillars, essentially, Pete Davidson's character immediately gets out and starts selling them out. It's like, hey, I'm the guy who called y'all.
Called you. Which
it's me.
I think they even set that up when his other introduction, when he's fucking with Idris Elba's character. He's on the phone before that happens.
Was he? I missed that part.
Yeah, he's talking on the jail phone, and then he goes over and fucks with Bloodsport. So, okay. I think they even.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, because they go back to that in a flashback.
Yeah, which I did like the way they played with time that way. Like the payoff for it for me was the.
I was gonna say in terms of time continuity, they do a lot of jumping back and forth. But it's not so much that it's a. I was gonna say it's not so much that it's a headache and you lose what's actually going on. in the
Yeah, like
continuity of things.
it's the perfect way to follow the two teams
Mm-hmm.
that are doing things at the same time without having to jump back and forth. So you can stay with the team A and follow their path, and then you jump over to team B and catch up.
Yeah, I was gonna say too, because like the first team we're introduced to is Bloodsport's led team
Other one.
with
No, Flags first.
or oh yeah, Rick Flag.
Bloodsport's the backup team that shows
That's
up.
right. Yeah, so Rick Flag's the first team we get introduced to with the whole beach scene, and in my mind when I was watching, I was thinking, all right, something's gonna happen, and then after the attack happens, like, all right, so whoever we get who survived out of this attack, they're gonna get replaced with, King Shark, Peacemaker, all this other stuff, and then it turns out that Peacemaker and King Shark and all them were the B team essentially. That
Yeah.
kind of they were at a different part of the island to meet up with them unknowingly.
Which had the first beach scene, like had the beach scene not happen, like had Pete Davidson's character not sold them out, what was the plan? Were they supposed to meet up and then not know the other fucking team was there? Like
That's what I thought of too, and
like
it was something Bloodsport
he even
mentioned.
asked.
Yeah, he's like,
It wasn't
why didn't you?
tactically advantageous? Like it didn't make sense for me to tell you. Like what the fuck do you mean? There's other operators of our team. Why? I should know that.
But then again, could you have imagined,
Like
Harley
the whole
Quinn?
team, no, but Flag and Bloodsport should have known the other was there because they were
Could
the
you
leaders of
imagine a scene where Harley Quinn's running through the forest and then she just blindly smacks into King Shark
and he just
and
eats her.
doesn't know what the hell's going on? Yeah.
Yeah. Or fucking like Flag. No, Flag would have known. Like if they ran into Weasel,
Oh,
not knowing he exists.
if Weasel had bumped into King Shark, that would have been it for Weasel.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we don't see Weasel get to do anything. Like it does say he killed children, but maybe Weasel's vicious. We don't know. He might be. He's obviously
he killed
durable.
27
He
children,
drowned.
so we don't know to what extent danger he is.
Yeah, I did like that. He's harmless. Well, I mean, he killed 27 children, but we're pretty sure he's going along with this.
We got him to agree to this mission, I think.
Yeah, it's like I think he knows what we're doing. Like he's here.
I think he's on board.
Yeah, I did
so
let him do the Calendar Man cameo so he could be physically in the scene in the movie as well.
Oh yeah,
Gunn's brother, whose name I forget.
Sean Gunn. Well, Sean Gunn actually does play Weasel too. He does.
Yeah, he does the mocap. But that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm glad they found a cameo for him to have his face.
Oh yeah,
because he does the mocap for Rocket, and also plays Kraglin, so his face could be in it. Speaking of King Shark, Sylvester Stallone nailed it.
Oh god, it was so great.
He was like the fake mustache scene, flawless.
He's like, "How are you gonna sneak in with a disguise?"
Fake mustache, and he's holding his fucking giant shark finger up under his nose, and they're just ripping him like, worst fake mustache you've ever seen. That would never fool anybody. And he's just fuck and runs off, and they start laughing.
Oh man, it was so good.
It was such a good flick.
So yeah, everything goes to shit at the beach, and then eventually they do meet up because plot.
So we should say everybody at the beach, other than Harley and Flag, die.
Yeah, so
they are brutally murdered. Javelin has that great scene where he's like, the javelin, it's for, and then he just dies. And
yeah,
Harley's so mad. For what?
You're the only one I trust that's worthy of taking on the javelin. Eventually, I'm glad that does pay off because she's carrying the javelin throughout the entire movie. And you're like, what's the point of you carry that javelin? Like, we've seen
but it doesn't do anything. It's pointy.
It's literally just a normal javelin spear. That's all it is.
There's just a pointy stick with a cool design. I don't even think he got to use it.
No, he didn't. Nope.
Like, so whatever cool things it could do that he knew how to do, we never even saw that. I don't think he... I did love, like, what little we got from him was fucking great.
Yeah.
His name Fluga something.
Flula something or
Borg.
other. He's
Flula Borg.
Flula Borg. Yeah.
I gotta say, the fucking Milton character. That
that was pretty funny.
he was such like I've seen the movie twice now.
He only had like what 2 lines of dialogue.
Two lines of dialogue, but he is literally there in every scene with them after he's introduced. He is right next to them. He doesn't say anything.
They do such a great job at like making sure you're not really acknowledging him.
Yeah, but he is definitely there the whole time.
He's absolutely there, and then when he dies later because of
who's Milton?
Polka Dot's fuck up, you know. Or no, it was right before Polka Dot's fuck up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, the whole scene where he's like, you got Milton killed, or he didn't have to die because of this, and everyone's like, who's Milton?
Speaking of Polka Dot, that fucking the whole thing with his mom popping up.
Like, oh my
the scene in the club was amazing, but when they did Giant Mom,
oh yeah, like he was a Bloodsport convinces him to like try to take down the giant starfish. He's like, how am I supposed to do that? Pretend it's your fucking mom or whatever.
It was so great, and that I mentioned it earlier in the general review, but that moment where he started melting the mom's foot, right? And it switches back to being Starro. I thought that was going to be a bigger moment for him where he's giving it, fucking it up.
Yeah, I was like, all right, he's just going to start tearing away this giant starfish.
I'm a superhero! And then it just splat.
He gets crushed.
Another thing that made me happy, Peter Capaldi.
He was great.
I love Peter Capaldi. I thought his thinker was awesome, but it's mainly because it's Peter. Like,
yeah,
he didn't do a whole lot.
I was going to say, yeah, he wasn't in it a whole lot, but...
He didn't do very much, but I thoroughly enjoyed every scene he was in. But again, I'm biased because I just love Peter Capaldi. He's my favorite Doctor of the Doctor Who's. So I nerded out when he got cast, and then they showed his design. It was so weird, and I just love it. His thing at the end when Starros got him, and he's like, I know I fucked up, but I can change.
Oh yeah, I admit I was wrong. I can change, and then just gets ripped.
You were just taunting this motherfucker like 10 minutes ago, walking through. Like, and speaking of Starro, the design for Starro.
Oh man, they did an excellent job of. They did an excellent job of like, giving it a touch of comic book feel to it.
Yeah.
Like,
it was just
the design
goofy enough, but still
I was gonna say it was
real.
it was goofy to a small percentage, but it was really cool how they had it designed and everything. Because nowadays, when you're trying to like redesign villains and stuff that look too goofy because of the comics, they want to give it a more grounded look. Yeah. But they didn't do that for this, and it was great.
Yeah, I really dug it. Like, I even thought it was appropriately gross, like the way
it was.
Everything worked. One thing I think that made it better was that the small ones were practical when they were on their faces. And the only reason I know that is because I've seen there's a picture James Gunn's posted where he's wearing one.
Right.
But that I think made it better because they looked.
I thought the mechanics for it was really cool too because you had the ones. Well, there was that, but like when they attach to a human's face, it essentially turns them into a zombie-like state of mind.
Tentacles and mouth and shit. What were those little fucking fish things that attacked King Shark?
I don't know.
Because when I saw when they popped up and he's in the aquarium thing, I was like, "Oh, that's cute. He's gonna like get in there and swim with them or something." And then they're fucking vicious. Like I thought it's got to be a deep cut reference to like that's got to be something. Like I don't know what that is. That's got to be something from DC lore. maybe even extraterrestrial. It might be somehow related to Starro, like because
I
it's
was
there
gonna
where
say,
Starro is.
well, from the implication of the facility where they're holding Starro,
Maybe it's
Jotunheim,
created things.
I assume it was just another extraterrestrial being that they got that was in relation to Starro.
Or it could be some kind of like something the thinker created because it shows that he's been experimenting on these people. Like he had that one dude who was in half on
That's
that one
true.
table. Another guy where the star was pulled over his face and the guy's body's still moving and shit because
Yeah,
like
he's got
the
that meaty outline of the star.
yeah, man. Like
Um,
the designs of most of the shit on this movie was fucking great.
it, it,
Fucking
it
great.
was, yeah. Um, let's see. I like I said, like the midway part of this movie was a little bit bogged down for me. It wasn't bad at all. Like I didn't lose interest or anything, but like
I like
okay,
that they
so
gave us some time with Ratcatcher. Like
oh yeah, we
I
we
like
got
that they got to flesh her out a little. Like,
yeah, they did go with that, but like so the after the initial beach attack, Rick
plus the whole
Flag.
bar scene was. Oh, you're right.
I was gonna
What
give
do
the
you want to
setup
head to?
because I was gonna give the setup because Harley Quinn and Rick Flag are the only two people from their team that survive.
And both get
By
captured.
they both get captured, but Rick Flag's taken by the
Resistance
the resistance people
rebels.
who initially we do not know was the resistance.
No, they
And
just
then
appear as other soldiers and they take them captive.
mhm. And then Harley Quinn's taken by like the legitimate bad guys.
Yeah.
And so one of the following scenes is Harley or is Peacemaker and Bloodsport going to save Rick Flag after Amanda tells him, it's like,
Kill
you can't,
everybody.
yeah, like kill everybody to the highest extent you can,
Yeah.
essentially.
And then we have that wonderful them competing, like who can
Oh
get the
God,
better kills or more kills. Like that part at the end where they're having that face off. Like when he put his gun in front of what is that character's name? I keep forgetting it.
Bloodsport.
Bloodsport. I keep
Yeah,
wanting to say Deathstroke
dead,
for some reason. Like
Deathstroke or Deadshot.
Deadshot, yeah. Like I keep wanting to say dead. Um,
Yeah,
but Cena Peacemaker puts his gun in front of Bloodsport's face, and he has that moment like the motherfucker, and then they start doing this like trade off where Bloodsport shoots a dude's fan that falls in his
yeah. They're
bathtub.
they're, they're essentially like walking on either side of a linear village setup, killing people and just like kind of one off each other.
And then
Like, all
get to the
right,
end
your
where they're
turn.
face to
Yeah.
face, and I loved that bit at the end where Peacemaker shoots the bullet, hits the shoulder. He's like, "You lose. It's non-lethal." He goes, "No, it's an exploding bullet," and he explodes. And he goes,
Oh yeah, it's a percussion
"No."
bullet.
Yeah, he goes, "Nobody likes to show off." He goes, "They do if what they're showing off is fucking dope or dope as fuck." And
Oh yeah,
he's like, "Damn it, you're right."
he's like, damn, right.
Like he's not so cool
That that
as he can't admit when he's wrong.
that line for Peacemaker was hilarious. He's like, nobody likes to show off. Nobody likes to show off when what they do is dope as fuck.
Right? God,
It was
we
the most
can't talk enough
unexpected.
about Cena's fucking comedic timing. Like,
Yeah, again,
so
because I was gonna say like that dialogue alone was like extremely unexpected, but it was hilarious because like right before that too, when they first start into the village, killing everybody off, all silent, whatnot.
which was awesome.
It was
Like,
great, but like
really badass.
right before they start, they kill off like 3 or 4 people.
King Shark sneaking around in the background.
Well, I was gonna say because I think doesn't it open up with King Shark just
Yeah,
inhaling a dude
Shark
essentially?
Shark goes first, but what killed me was him in the back. Like you can see him pass by trees and through bushes and shit, and he's like
Oh yeah,
straight up cartoon sneaking. Like
yeah.
you're a giant fucking shark man.
He's a 7 foot something shark dude.
And he just grabs him and nom
Yeah.
fucking inhales that motherfucker.
The other funny scene too is like right before they start that the Slaughterfest between the Slaughterfest competition. They kill off like 3 or 4 dudes, and then Bloodsport turns to him and gives him the finger, and then Peacemaker turns to him and grabs his balls. It is like shaking him at him like a 12-year-old
yeah,
school kid.
yeah. He does the little jerk off motion, and
Oh yeah, he
he
does a little
even
jerk.
reacts. He even reacts where he like Bloodsport actually like sells it.
Oh, it was so good.
I fucking love this movie.
Yeah, so we get to the end of the village scene, and it turns out Bloodsport and Peacemaker just killed a bunch of good guys, and who were part of this resistance that saved Rick.
She was way cooler about that than she
She
should have been.
really was.
She was like, I can't believe you murdered everyone I cared about. How could you? I mean, we'll still help you, but I can't believe you murdered everyone I know.
I understand we have the same end goal, but my God.
Right?
I'm completely okay with my entire team just dying by 2 people.
2 people murdered my entire resistance. How strong was of a resistance did I have?
Oh man, it was great. Yeah, so Rick gets captured by the good guys, and then later on in the movie, Harley Quinn is with the legitimate bad guys, and it turns out she's starting a little love fest with the dictator dude.
Dude, she jumped right on that dictator. She fucking, he's like, I think I like you. You're so hot, and just jumped.
Yeah, and then
so
like
funny.
everything's happening so fast. There's no unspecified time frame of how long this thing's going on. Because like at one point he does propose to her.
He does, and right before that, I mentioned again when we were texting earlier. You had made a joke about James Gunn not using all the budget in the first 10 minutes on songs.
Right.
That scene where it transitions from where they're in the birdcage and that music going to them just awkwardly, quietly sitting on the couch while it plays from like a Bluetooth speaker on the coffee table.
Yeah, it's like in background music.
It's like that caught me off guard to where it was so awkward going from this like majestic birds and music going, and then it's just like coming off his phone.
Yeah,
and they're just staring at each other. That was one of my favorite beats with the music shit. Soundtrack on this, I do have to say also, soundtrack on this was awesome.
The soundtrack was really good. Like I had mentioned before we started the podcast, I was glad to see James Gunn didn't blow the entire budget on the soundtrack in the first 10 minutes like the first movie did.
Yeah, he was really good. He stretched it out more. I mean, he still probably blew a good chunk of the budget on that soundtrack.
Oh, I'm sure, but the technical aspects of everything else, like he really put the time into making sure, like,
yeah. Well,
the story evolved. I was gonna say the story evolved because of the characters, not some MacGuffin that had to be followed or picked up along the way or whatever. Like,
they did have a rat ex machina though.
That is true.
Which it didn't feel forced. It was I really dug the way they did that. But I mean, there was a rat ex machina. Suddenly, billions of rats.
Suddenly, rats.
Of course, it's not as unbelievable as you'd think. Like, if you want to be disgusted, Google how many rats live in New York.
I was gonna say, like, given the area, like the environment in which they're in, it makes sense that many rats would exist within that vicinity. So,
oh yeah, and it's fucking them going into the eye, and like after she jumped, Harley stabs it, and they're all floating around in there. Like, that was super cool. It was disgusting, but it was really like visually, it was really cool.
Oh yeah.
Oh god, but yeah, man, like James Gunn, I think isn't he one of those directors that when he's writing when he's writing the script, he already has music picked out? Like, I think that's him that I heard talk about that.
No, he's talked about it a couple times. I don't know the exact specifics of it, but he is somebody who's very music driven.
He writes with the music.
Yeah,
which I appreciate. Baby Driver. Specifically about that story, but I really think James Gunn's talked about doing that too.
Yeah,
because I know Baby Driver was done that way. Like, I know I've heard him talk about it. Which, I
was going to say that was kind of how that movie was written because of the main character.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say I don't know if there was anything else to hit on really in terms of spoilers outside of the surprise death we got.
Oh my God! Yep, Flag.
So leading up to spoilers, Rick Flag's death? Question
Which
mark.
that nah, he got hit in the heart and then squished, man. Like he's dead.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So
Like
um,
wow.
leading up to that, the plot is they had to sneak into this facility that's holding the extraterrestrial Starro.
Yeah.
And then mission changes, or they essentially had to sneak in and destroy any and all traces and evidence that led
The
to the
U.S. was
project.
involved.
Yeah, the U.S. was involved in the Jotunheim facility, and so one of the pieces of equipment, or yeah, one of the pieces that they pick up
A
is
hard
a hard
drive.
drive. Yeah, it was a hard drive with a lot of information regarding Jotunheim.
And I
And
gotta
Rick,
say, that scene where he takes the hard drive and uh, Peacemaker, reveals like, no, you're not doing. I'm supposed to destroy that shit. They
yeah,
have that really great line where they're talking, like they're discussing it. Like, is it like you're
the
trying to?
morality of
Yeah,
what they're
and
doing.
and Peacemaker says, which again, he's gonna have his own spin-off series where he's the titular character,
Mm-hmm.
so he has to have some kind of heart to be the hero of that story. And I think this set it up well. Like his whole character, he has these moments where he does sincerely seem to genuinely care about protecting peace, but he
Yeah,
has that beautiful, or not beautiful, but that really poignant sentence where he tells him, he says, do you think it's worth protecting the peace? And he says, even at the cost of a hero's life like yours, yes.
yeah.
Please
And
don't make me do this.
he also just simply states he is very thorough about keeping the peace.
Yeah. Doesn't care how many
So
men, women, and children he
yeah,
has to go to get it.
so he is set up as this like ultra
Ruthless
uber.
guy.
Well, I mean, he's very ruthless, but he's set up as like a very I won't say patriotic, but very freedom
Headstrong.
very freedom motivated character who seems like he's in the good aspect of this squad, like he's got a good heart, and like they never really set up
A Punisher-esque kind of feel.
Punisher
Like,
light. Yeah,
Punisher, well, Punisher without, like, his code even, because even the Punisher has a
yeah,
code.
yeah. And well, I was gonna say too, they don't really explain from what I remember. I mean, I should remember because I saw it today, but they don't really set up what put him in prison or why he's a part of this
No,
squad of
I don't
criminals.
think they do. I think you're right.
I
I don't
don't.
think they say it. She just says the exact same dialogue that she said to introduce Bloodshot or Bloodsport. Bloodshot. Oh my God! Now I'm doing it. You put that shit in my head about the Deadshot thing. I hadn't even considered that before. Now I can't stop
So
thinking
Pitch
about
Black's
Deadshot.
Vin Diesel is not in this movie.
No, damn it. Um,
The pacifier's Vin Diesel, who started a bad comic book adaptation of a character named Bloodshot.
Oh my God, that's funny. No, instead, no. What I meant to say was Bloodsport.
We'll just call him Idris Elba.
Yeah, we'll just call him Idris Elba. Uh, what was What was I saying?
Them not explaining why
Oh, yeah.
Peacemaker.
Like she does the same dialogue that she said when she's introducing Bloodsport about he's this ruthless killer whose father trained him to be a murderer from day one. And
Yeah.
she introduces him to Peacemaker, and she's like, he's a merciless killer whose father trained him to be a killer from day one. He's like, I thought we were all supposed to be unique. He does the same shit I do. And that payoff was good too, where he's like, I shoot smaller bullets, they'll go in your bullet hole. And then at the end, he wins because he has a smaller bullet.
Oh yeah, so Rick Flag's death is at the hands of Peacemaker because they have a entanglement where Rick gets a hold of the hard drive that has all the info on Jotunheim and Starro, and so he decides that this needs to be made public at any and all cost, regardless if, the implant in the back of his head blows off his head at the hands of Amanda Waller.
Yeah. Which
And
should be noted, she didn't know about any of that going on because
no,
there was some kind of like blocker keeping them from.
yeah, so they set up that whatever the facility's got going on, there is like a radio frequency that's cutting off their signal.
Yeah. Which I love when they get it back. We got a freaking kaiju up in this shit.
Oh, yeah.
Which, I'll touch on this in a second, but I do want to talk about that crew. But, like, that whole...
was it the radio crew? I guess
Yeah.
HQ.
Yeah, the headquarters team helping Task Force X. I do want to talk about them in a second, but keep going. So we get to Flag's death and
so Flag decides that the information needs to be made public. Peacemaker says, no, we can't do this. This is not the mission. And kind of makes a half-ass argument that we can't make this public because it will disturb the peace.
Yeah.
Just be chaos.
His argument has some merit, but it's
within line of his character.
It's in line with his character. I mean, both of them make compelling arguments about why, it should be released or should be destroyed. I mean, granted, you're not supposed to root for one of those arguments, but they make good points.
To an extent, like I said, he's in line with his character, Peacemaker, who is wanting to keep the peace. Yeah. So it all hell breaks loose. They get into a fight. It stabs
with a chunk of broken glass right in the heart.
Yeah, it was like a chunk of it wasn't exactly glass tile. It was a piece of ceramic tile. Stabs it straight into his chest, into his heart, and he's like legit dead right there. And
but they do give Peacemaker a moment where he thinks about what just happened. Yeah, they give him a moment to breathe on that.
He definitely does have a moral conniption where he's like, "What the fuck just happened?" Kind of thing. And so,
after that, he before everything he was doing, murdering with glee, he didn't seem to care. But once he had to deal with Flag, someone that he apparently knew about and respected.
Yeah.
Like once he had to deal with that, everything he was doing seemed like, all right, let's just fucking get this over with.
Yeah, his whole
from the
goal
character,
was
not from John Cena.
Yeah. But his whole goal was like keeping within the mission because both it's what Amanda called for,
and he's thorough.
And he is thorough about keeping the peace. So
yeah. Well, I mean, like for that line when she's like, "You can destroy the drive. Why do you have to kill me?" And he like sighs, like, "Because I'm thorough."
Yeah,
I'm gonna do it.
I was gonna say, leading up to that scene, Rat Catcher, she takes the hard drive, runs off. Peacemaker catches up to her, and it gets to a scene where he's standing over her, gun pointed at her head, and she makes the argument, why don't you just destroy this? You don't have to kill me. I am thorough. There's it kind of goes back 8 minutes prior.
Yeah, we have this jump back to Team B.
To Idris Elba's point of view. Yeah, so a series of events happen that...
The heart of this film, Milton dies. And it's heartbreaking for everyone. A real tear-jerking scene.
The heart and a pedestal that kept this movie going and up.
Not a dry eye in the theater.
They along the way into this facility, they've been planting plastic explosives.
Which King Shark's plastic explosive, where he fashions it into a little person. He's like Peacemaker, and Peacemaker's like, that's actually very nice.
That's very nice.
But just doesn't even look like me.
Yeah. So I don't remember exactly in detail.
Well, they're going through this room, and then everything starts going to shit. Like some guards come in and shoot Milton again, heartbreaking.
Right.
And then Polka Dot Man kills them, and then they're all hiding in cubicles. Like, is there fucking more of them? And then we have that scene about like they killed Milton. Who's Milton?
Oh yeah, there's the banter back and forth of them trying to like everybody but Polka Dot Man trying to figure out who the fuck Milton was.
He fucks
And
up
so,
because he had.
yeah,
Oh, that's what it was. They stopped because his bag broke and he dropped all the plastic explosives.
that's right. And
That's what it was.
so some more bad guys come up, and one of the plastic explosives is laying like in the middle of the
Oh no, it's his whole
aisle.
bag.
Was
It's
it
his
his
whole
whole
bag
bag?
of. Yeah,
Oh,
it was the
okay.
whole bag. He was starting to pick him up when Milton got shot.
That's right.
So he blows that up, which triggers all the explosives, which we didn't
Yes.
even touch on that part when they were in the thing.
Well,
And
I was gonna say, so with the explosion that start or what triggers it was Polka Dot Man, but to explain Polka Dot triggering it, his powers, so he kills people with polka dots, and you're
which they're
thinking
like acidic, like they melt people.
they look like the little what do you call it? They look like the plastic
Like the
round
Connect
neon.
Four pieces.
It looks like an arts and crafts kind of circular disc that you would see at like Hobby Lobby or something. They're like little color discs essentially that come out of his body.
Which
But he,
and they're coming out of the body. Like he has those bracelet things that like release
yeah,
them. So it's like, are those part of his body? Like, are they going into like? That was the
it,
thing when I realized when I noticed the gauntlets. I was like, how do those work? You know,
it seems to kind of focus the polka dots into that area. Like, think
no,
of
that
it
makes
as like they're throughout his body, but the bracelets kind of focus them to that area so he can shoot them out.
like Quake's gauntlets from Agents of Shield.
Yeah, sure. So he shoots that out at bad guys coming up, and so like you mentioned, Milton's bag of explosives is on the ground, and one of Polka Dot's little dots hits the plastic explosive and starts the chain reaction of explosives throughout this giant pillar structure of Jotunheim. And so essentially, it's Harley Quinn, Polka Dot Man, and Idris Elba following several stories, and Idris Elba is falling. He's standing on like a piece of flooring that's just falling floor through floor through floor.
Which was
And so,
really neat, but it was also like, what?
yeah, you're kind of like, all right, that wouldn't happen, but okay. But it's a
Yeah,
comic book movie, and
yeah, it's a comic book movie. Suspension of disbelief. There's a giant starfish kicking everybody's ass.
there's a humanoid shark.
Yeah,
Um, so he happens to stop falling on the ground floor right in front of Peacemaker and Ratcatcher, where he's got um Ratcatcher at gunpoint and about to kill her. And
and we
so
get
that's
the kick-ass superhero landing.
essentially, yeah.
Like that was a really badass entrance for him to have. And Peacemaker didn't
Yeah.
even react. He was like, "All right, time to fight this guy."
Yeah, he's like, ugh, this would happen.
Right? Of course he would show up right now, riding
So
on a pillar of
we
concrete.
we kind of get the callback to the discussion of them arguing over which of them is more accurate and how they can hit more center and
Yeah, which I
all that
don't
other stuff.
think they even said anything. I think they just drew. And
Yeah, I think there's like one or two pieces of dialogue, but they just drew and then shot at each other. And so you've got Idris Elba's smaller caliber going through Peacemaker's large caliber,
tiny
blowing,
little pointy ass bullet.
yeah, just kind of like shredding through the bullet. And then there's I think, does he hit the gun too?
No, he shoots right through the bullet and it hits Peacemaker in the throat.
In the throat? Okay, I wasn't sure if that was shrapnel or what, but
No, he shot him in the neck.
okay, yeah. So he hits Peacemaker in the neck, kills him, kind of.
Yeah, and I think we touched on that
Yeah,
in
we
last
did.
week's episode.
Kind of. Or no,
uh,
just earlier. Yeah, earlier in the
earlier
episode.
about no. I'm saying um, where he's getting a spinoff, and James Gunn had said, people had been like, "Well, he's surviving." He's like, "You don't know. It could be a prequel."
Oh yeah, that's
It
true.
is now. It's not a prequel. Like he somehow survives all that shit, doesn't bleed out.
Right.
And here's why I wanted to touch on that crew,
Well,
because it looks like that's what we're gonna get, is that crew maybe guiding Peacemaker through missions. Like, I actually really enjoyed the that team. Like, I thought their interactions with
oh
each other
yeah.
was really cool, like really
The,
funny, and them knocking the fuck out of Amanda Waller was great. Like the
oh
way
yeah.
that chick just turned into Amanda, where she's like, "God damn it, go do it!" Like,
Yeah. It was kind of funny that at the beginning, like right before they set off on the mission, they've got like a little Deadpool going
yeah,
where they're betting on who's gonna die first or all
that
this
they're
other
hiding
stuff.
from Waller, like she
Yeah.
doesn't know what they're doing. I love that. Like, one of them pulled money out of like this child's backpack thing that she brought with her.
Oh yeah.
Like, and then whenever people start kicking the bucket, they're passing the money around and shit. Like that whole team, every time it cut back to them was really fun. So I'm looking forward to, even if it's just those two, that girl and that guy,
Hmm.
even if those two is his, to use a Marvelism, the guy in the chair. Um, like, I think that show could be really fun because, again, John Cena is amazing, as we've now seen. This character is really fun. Like, I want to see more of it.
Yeah. I definitely want to see more of Peacemaker. He
Yeah.
was a fun character.
Um,
I assume that'll be an HBO Max
it is.
show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
HBO Max. And
But
I think they actually said somewhere that it's finished filming, so they're in post production
oh,
right
okay. Yeah, so
now.
movie that I mean that was pretty much it for spoilers. I mean the movie
Yeah,
ends with Starro dying by rat catcher's plague of rats and
which had he had a really they had a really good moment too, as the big one died and all the little ones are dying. Uh, One of the Starro, you know, little Starros was on the main bad guy and
Mhm.
says, because they in this movie, I don't know if we said it in this movie, they captured Starro when he was, about the size of a person, and he was just floating
Yeah.
in space like 30 years prior to the events of this movie. And so they've just had him in captivity for 30 years, doing tests on all this shit. And like,
And he
when we first actually go into that facility, even all the people are like, "Help us, he's been torturing us and shit." And then at the
Mhm.
end, when he's dying, he tells uh, Bloodsport, he says, "I was happy just floating
Oh yeah.
with the stars."
Yeah, as he's dying, yeah. It
Yeah,
was
it just
like
showed that, like, even though he was Starro was the main villain, even he was a victim in all this.
oh yeah. And he's like I was happy,
Yeah,
just gazing at the stars.
yeah. I was happy y'all fuckers like took me away from my peace, and now I'm dead. Or just wanted, and all he wanted was the island.
He just
I
wanted the
mean,
island. That was
he
it.
just wanted the island and all the people on it, to feed on. I mean, he
Yeah.
definitely wouldn't have gone
He
into the
wasn't
water,
asking for
swam
much.
across to another continent, and taken over that. It definitely wouldn't happen. You can trust
He
these alien fish.
absolutely had no inclination of going and being a tourist anywhere else. He was
Not
happy
at
on that
all.
island.
Not at all. But I mean, it is terrifying. Something the size of Starro totally could actually be in the ocean, and we'd never know.
Oh yeah,
Like, um,
at the very dark, blackest part of the oceans could exist a giant starfish
um,
with a giant eyeball.
was there anything else for the movie that we wanted to touch on?
Um, not
Like,
that I could really. I mean, we kind of hit on like our favorite parts. I mean, we didn't go into every single scene,
yeah.
but
I mean, let us know in the comments what you. No, I'm just kidding. Um,
I don't even know
I
where we're at on our time thing. I don't know how long we've
well,
been going on now.
not important because, um, I mean, if we're gonna talk about the Suicide Squad movie, we should talk about the game that's coming
I
out.
was gonna say, okay, so that's the end of spoilers then.
Yes.
Okay.
Spoilers are over. Now we're going to talk about something that only has rumors and very little actually confirmed information. Um, so we're getting a game made, and it's developed by Rocksteady. So excuse me, developed by Rocksteady. They have said that this movie or not movie, excuse me, this game is set in the same universe established by the Arkham series, the Batman Arkham game series.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to take place in an open world metropolis. and it can be played solo, or players can switch between characters at will, and the others will be controlled by artificial intelligence. Or I don't know how this will be implemented, but it does say they have talked about that the game will feature a 4-player co-op mode.
Hmm.
So our little group definitely should try to get this.
Similar to the Avengers and all that.
Similar maybe. I'm not really sure. I'm hoping, speaking of that the Guardians of the Galaxy game gets some kind of multiplayer support. That would be kind of cool. That's another one that I don't have a whole lot on, but it looks fun. It's
Right.
coming out on next gen consoles, PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X slash S. And it's the whole. It seems like it's the whole team. I mean, Sefton Hill's the director again. WB Interactive is the publisher, as you'd
Hey,
expect.
you know what? I'm gonna do a thing, and we can fix this in post. But I need to use a bathroom, so if you want to keep talking, you can.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, no problem. Uh, it's. I think they're. It looks like they're going to take total, like a lot of stuff from our new version of the Suicide Squad. Because like the Harley Quinn definitely has Margot Robbie vibes. Captain Boomerang's not. He seems to also he seems to have some kind of like super speed. So I don't know like how they're going to do that, or the reasoning behind that. Um, some interesting stuff that I've got here. Tara Strong is again playing Harley Quinn because she's the voice of Harley Quinn. I mean, kudos to Kaylee Cuoco, or I think that's how you pronounce her name. Kudos to her. She does a great job on the animated series, but Tara Strong is Harley Quinn. I don't know who is voicing all the characters other than Tara, but I have a note here, and I don't know how accurate it is, but I hope it is, just for my own personal amusement. It says that King Shark is voiced by Samoa Joe, who, if you don't know who Samoa Joe is a professional wrestler, currently works for the WWE. And I'm a big wrestling nerd, so if Samoa Joe's the voice of King Shark, that'd be
Okay, I'm back.
incredible. Welcome back. I'm going to repeat the thing I just said because you
I
weren't here
guess.
to hear it. The voice work. I don't have a lot of cast for it.
Or what are
Other
we talking
than
about?
for the Suicide Squad game. I'm still talking about
Oh,
that.
the game. Okay.
The voiceover cast for the game. The only two I have confirmed, and I'm gonna check the reference on the second one. But the first one I have is Tara Strong coming back to play Harley Quinn,
Harley Quinn.
which I love because, again, I just said this a minute
She's
ago, but
solid.
you didn't get to hear it. Kudos to Kaylee Cuoco, but Tara Strong is Harley Quinn. Just like Mark Hamill's the voice of the Joker, Tara Strong is Harley Quinn. But the link I have here says that the voice of King Shark in the Suicide Squad game is WWE's Samoa Joe.
Oh yeah, I remember something about that.
See, I'd never heard that, and so seeing it there, I was like, no shit. Um, but yeah, there's been a couple things saying it's supposed to be a hardcore violent game, which I don't know how violent it is. Jeff Johns had in fucking 2012 talked about the game. Said because of the concept, you have a game where any of the lead characters could conceivably die, and it's not a stunt, so they could, you know, we may not end the game with the same characters we start with.
Right.
Um,
I was gonna say, do you think it'll be like in the same vein as this James Gunn movie?
Maybe. I mean, but I think they're gonna have to introduce some characters that are, you know, for want of a better term, cannon fodder because of the villains. I mean, the game is titled Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice
Kill
League,
the Justice League, yeah.
and the trailer, the only trailer we have, shows us a brain. It's a mind controlled Superman as the villain, who's their alpha target. Like, so it's Suicide Squad taking on Superman, and if he's mind controlled by Brainiac, and you want to give us this again in air quotes hardcore violent game, he's got to fucking laser people in half or something. Like, you got to have some of your characters die off, a la the first scene in this new Suicide Squad movie.
Freeze breath somebody and then just punch them and shatter them.
Yeah, you've got to have a scene akin to the post credits of the first episode of Invincible, where Omni-Man just murks the entire Guardians of the Globe.
Yeah, pretty much just Omni-Man reskinned as Superman.
Yeah, you definitely need some kind of scene in this game with that. But that's kind of all we know. I mean,
there's not a lot out on it.
They haven't said a bunch. I think the last time we really got anything was maybe August of last year. Like,
I was gonna say,
no.
Let me see when they released that trailer.
In a while, man. Well, but I mean, there's been little reports here and there. Like, I remember back in April, there was some kind of thing about another studio either coming to work on Suicide Squad or coming to help. Like, I don't think they were taking over, but I think there was something about somebody else coming in to help on the game. But I think this could be possibly what there was that rumored for the long time that Rocksteady was working on a Superman game. That's probably what this is. I mean, I don't think they have a separate Superman game in development. Because the concept art that got leaked about it, like, it totally could belong to this game. Like, that Superman in the concept art that got leaked a long time ago, it's very similar to what's in the trailer. So right. I think that's what we have here. But again, it's, your typical, excuse me, your typical Suicide Squad with Amanda Waller in charge. And so far, all we know, Harley Quinn, Captain Boomerang, Deadshot, and King Shark. Taking on the Justice League, so it should be fun. I mean,
I was gonna say the game trailer was released 11 months ago.
Yeah, so. About it, and it was really good. Like, they announced Suicide Squad the same day at the same conference that they showed off the Gotham Knights first look. And it's an interesting situation because Gotham Knights is not part of the Arkhamverse, but it obviously, looking at it, has a similar flavor. Like, it's obviously heavily inspired, but the combat's different. Like, it looks more akin to maybe where the modern day, like, Assassin's Creed, like Origins Odyssey kind of look. That's what it looks like, at least. Or maybe even kind of like the way this the Avengers game is, combat wise, which it honestly looks really neat. Like, I'm super looking forward to now knowing this has multiplayer, because I didn't know that till today. The Suicide Squad game, like, I'm excited for our little group to try to get our hands on these games, and try them out. Because I mean, fuck, I want to fight Superman. Like, I'll be Captain Boomerang with his random super speed that he seems to have. Like, I think it'd be really fun. I'm hoping that maybe we didn't get anything at Comic-Con about either of them, but DC Fandom is probably happening again this year. So we'll probably get more information on everything coming from that to, probably get our first look at, like, Black Adam, maybe some Shazam, maybe a trailer, a teaser for Flash or Aquaman or something. Because we've still got all of those, and Shazam 2, Fury of the Gods. There's in development, which we may hear things about. There's apparently a Batgirl movie in development.
That's not connected to the Batman, right?
I don't know.
I think that's what last I heard. That's the alleged rumor, is that it's not connected.
Well, it's being written by the same person that did Birds of Prey, so it may be connected to the DC universe. I don't know. It's probably not going to be connected to either Pattinson or DCEU. Um, there's also a Blue Beetle movie in development. But it's again, there's very little time frame of that. Like they revealed it in February that somebody's going to be doing it, and it's going to be HBO Max. I don't know if it's a movie or a series or not. Wonder Woman 3 is still in development after arguably that movie flopped, or not arguably, like objectively that movie was not
it was bad.
It was not a financial success.
It was it was I mean, I don't know what the return is exactly, but it was not well received.
There's some kind of other Batman film in production or in development as well. So maybe there'll be something coming off of the heels of Flash or Flashpoint, whatever that movie ends up being actually called. There's a Green Lantern Corps series in development for HBO Max, which I'm super fucking excited about. Every little thing I've heard about it kind of describes it as like a buddy cop in space.
That was the last I heard about it.
Personally, I would like the lineup to be Guy Gardner and Kyle Rayner if it's a duo. But like, would you do like Jordan and Stewart, or maybe a mixture, or like who would you have?
They could absolutely have like,
or maybe not even 2
4
human
or 5.
ones. Like what if the series is buddy cop and it's like Hal Jordan and Kilowog?
Well, I was gonna say they could absolutely do like they could absolutely do like Jordan, Kilowog, Gardner, Stewart. They could absolutely involve those 4. Like,
yeah,
they may not be in every single episode together, but like
having them just be also part of the cast.
Yeah, I mean, if they can have like multicast shows like NCIS and CSI and stuff like that, they could absolutely.
Yeah. Plus, because I mean, just in terms of human characters, there's a handful of good, Lantern characters like Simon Baz and Jessica Cruz. I mean, granted they're newer, but you could definitely use them, and not to even mention all the alien species lanterns and the other colors, and like there's so much potential for a Green Lantern Corps show. Like, it's a tragedy that it hadn't been done before, but I'm hoping that it just hasn't been done because of the technical limitations.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's been like technical limitation and a structuring of like how you would go about it, and I think if I were to do it, I would just do it with like an ensemble cast of like, most notable Green Lantern characters.
Yeah.
Because like,
wipe out that Ryan Reynolds one, which I don't even want to get started on the Ryan Reynolds one.
No,
you know that Green Lantern is my DC guy, and for that fucking movie,
they almost had it.
They almost had it. It had such highs that it made the lows look so worse. Like, it had really good spots where everything was clicking, and then they did stupid shit like Parallax and Kronos being the same fucking thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm still a little salty about that movie.
It was bad. How they let it happen is wow.
Visually, it was really good. I mean, visually, it was solid.
Yeah.
All the effects, like the suit, I thought was really cool. The mask could have been better, but I thought the way they did the suits in that movie were really good. Like, everybody's was unique to their species. It seemed like like Hal's had that like leaf kind of quality. And Kilowog's was like a rhino. Like, the designs for everything were so good. Even the design for Parallax wasn't terrible. It wasn't Parallax. It was fucking Galactus from Fantastic Four: Rise of Silver Surfer. But
the famous
of it was neat.
I've seen
the giant murder cloud.
They haven't done it a whole lot, but between the smoke monster that was Galactus, and then the smoke monster that was in Loki. It seems like smoke monsters are a cop out for when you don't want to do a full character design. You're like, what can
Let's
we
just make
do?
a smoke monster.
We'll just make him a smoke monster.
Hey, it worked in Lost.
Yeah.
I, I, did it work in Lost? No, I've only seen a few episodes of that. I can't really speak to it.
I know it didn't end great, but
Um, but like that, the show has such potential because, like I said, there's so many amazing Green Lantern storylines. Like, if they fuck this up, they're gonna have to really try to do it. Because, like, if I could say something good about that, the old movie, if you don't know jack shit about the Green Lantern lore, the movie's fine. The
yeah.
movie is it holds up. Like it's fine. But if you do know Green Lantern lore, it's
Well,
fucked.
I'll say even if you don't know Green Lantern lore, like the story structure is kind of bleh.
Well, I mean, it followed the traditional like hero's arc of yeah, it worked, but it's the things that they did to this IP that changed things
Yeah, they
that
butchered
fucked
it.
it.
Just bottom
It's
line, it
like,
was butchered.
well, it's like the just to kind of tangent off a tiny bit. It's like the He-Man, the Masters of the Universe thing going on right now. I saw the show and I wasn't a He-Man fan. Like I went in knowing that everybody was shitting on it, but just going in cold, I think the show on its own um, is an okay show. But the fact that, from what I'm understanding, what I've been explained to, the way it treats the IP is one of the big reasons why everybody's so pissed. And seeing how it was done to the Green Lantern film, which is my thing, like I totally get that. Like it's it it can stand on its own with these things being changed, but when you change shit like that, that's what fucks you.
Mm-hmm.
Like they definitely didn't need to do Parallax and Kronos as the same thing. They could have chosen one or the other. They could have done literally any of his other rogues gallery. Um, there's, like I said, I don't want to get into a tangent making fun of this movie that's been out for years. I
No,
want to
people
talk
still
about
make
current
fun of it.
shit.
It's fine.
Well, I
People
mean,
don't like to remember it for good reason, but when they do, they make fun of it for good reason.
yeah, that's true. We are supposed to still be getting possibly a Supergirl movie. Like it may even be this new version that's in the Flash. We're probably not still getting that Cyborg movie. I mean, that's probably dead and gone.
I don't see
Um,
that happening anytime
no.
soon.
Um, there has been talk about a Black Hawk movie. Um, and it would potentially be if maybe they could get Spielberg because
Blackhawk?
Black Hawk was I don't know a lot about Black Hawk, but I know it was like a group of pilots during World
Okay.
War II, something like it was a group of like soldiers fighting like Bond villains, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But it was made or not made, but it's Spielberg has said that Black Hawk is his favorite or one of his favorite comic books.
Mm-hmm.
So like maybe they could get Spielberg to do it.
Yeah, I think I was looking it up, and that was like the latest thing on it.
Um, there have been rumors of something Jared Leto Joker related. Probably not still happening, but I have still seen those rumors float around. Um, there have been talk of a Joker sequel for Walking Phoenix, which, as we've said, I hope they don't do.
Mm-hmm.
Unless they bring him in to be the old man Joker for Pattinson's Batman, then they can do whatever the fuck they want. But if they're not going to bring him back to do other things, I think that movie needs to sit where it is because I think it was a really phenomenal movie, start to finish. Like I can't point out a lull that I thought, oh, that part sucked. Like every scene of that movie was great for
Mm-hmm.
me personally. Um, real quickly, because all of these are like maybes and thing. There's and you can stop me if you want any more info of what I got. A Nightwing, a Man of Steel sequels was still being talked about as recently as this year.
Yeah, earlier this year, but I think with the confirmation of new Superman movies, throwing S
Michael
in
B. Jordan's
parentheses there.
potential.
Yeah, there's that, and then the god awful J.J. Abrams, Ta-Nehisi Coates Superman. They've
Wait,
pretty much
what
all
is
but
that?
huh?
I don't know what that is. What is that?
It's a nightmare waiting to happen. It's
Well,
literally
okay, actual description, please.
the little that is out right now from Ta-Nehisi Coates is that they want to tokenize Clark Kent. Like they don't want to do a Val Zod.
Oh, I
That's one
got
of
you. You
yeah.
were telling me about the other day. Okay, I got you.
Yeah. So yeah, and it's unrelated from Michael B.
See, and
Jordan's.
I don't. That's so dumb. Like, there's already a couple black versions of Superman, like Val Zod. Like, you don't need to race swap Clark Kent. I mean,
Nope.
yeah, he's an alien, so he doesn't have to look like
Well,
one
the
thing or
whole
the other.
story
But
just
fuck.
yeah.
I mean, okay. Let's. If may no, I was gonna try to no, like they should. You don't need Clark Kent to
You
be a
don't need
black.
to. You don't.
If you
There's no
want
reason
black
for it.
Superman, use Val Zod. Val Zod's a good fucking character.
He's a character.
He's a decent character. Like what little stuff I've seen him in, because he's not some like I never read the Big Earth 2
I was gonna say
whole
he had a
run.
very short run, but
He had a very
he
short
was
run, but
around.
I thought his character was decently written. Like I wanted to see more of him. I was kind of disappointed I never did. But Val Zod's a decent enough character. You don't have to make Clark Kent black. But like I said the other day with Jeffrey Wright's Jim Gordon, as long as if he's just a black Superman and it's not, you know, the whole fucking focus of the movie is that he's a black Superman.
Well, if
Okay, it'd
that's
be weird.
was
Okay,
that's why I've mentioned to you before. If you go and Google who Ta-Nehisi Coates is, you'll
is it
understand.
always tokenized?
He's that type of person to do it.
Okay, like I don't I we've discussed this several times, just you and me. Like if it's okay, like if it doesn't become the focal, like Jeffrey Wright, I think is a phenomenal actor. I
Yeah,
loved
like
him in Westworld. Like the fact that Jim Gordon's black in this movie is probably not going to be the focus of his character. It's just going to be he's just black. If
I was
they
gonna
did
say
that with
in
Clark
terms of
Kent,
who
I could probably live with that.
I was
Like
gonna say in
as long as
terms
the
of like
movie's
the
good.
overall story for Jim Gordon, like it's not detrimental,
No,
but I mean,
Superman is a different beast, but like on one hand, like Jim Gordon being an Irish cop it's not been always the focus of his character, but it
yeah,
is still integral to his character. I mean, you can do the flip side, and there's long lineages of black families having law enforcement in their families and shit. So you could even still do that that comparison,
yeah,
but
but
it's
I
not
mean, in
been the
this day and
focus.
age, I was gonna say in this day and age of where they're going with movies and how they're
Yeah,
race swapping a lot of characters and
I
the
mean,
the the slow genocide of gingers in comic books and movies that are getting tokenized, like you can kind of see where they're going with it.
yeah, but I mean, like the fact that like the Irish cop thing never really was a big part of his character to where they shoved
True,
it in his
but
face.
still,
They could
it's
do the same thing with him being a black cop, and just it can be mentioned. Like Jim Gordon's Irish heritage was mentioned, where it's like he could have a racist. Be like, oh, this brother in a badge or something. You can have those scenes. We don't need it to be shoved down our throats because it's not. It doesn't matter to Jim Gordon. It's not necessary for Jim Gordon. So it's like
yeah,
that
but
that thing
the
with
whole
Jeffrey
thing
Wright
that
should be fine.
I was gonna say
I hope.
that same argument could be made. Like, okay, then why are you gonna make him? Why are you gonna tokenize him if it
True.
doesn't matter? You know.
Well, and the discussion on that one is, I think the root of that is that because there was so little actual diversity in comics, because comics were largely written by white people, and all the characters became white men and women, and shit like that. Like, there is an argument to say that there was not hardly enough, there wasn't really realistic diversity in our comics from the 40s, 50s, and 60s. So it's not a bad idea
No,
to have a little more realistic diversity, but
no,
it's the
like in the
shoehorning, shove it
50s.
down your throat stuff that is what pisses people off. If it's just a race swap, excuse me, if it's just a race swap and it's not the focal point, if they don't change who the character is to make this important, if it's just his race, like, then it doesn't matter. Then it's fine.
Well, I was gonna say, because Black Panther was like the first black superhero in '66. So there was him, and then I think the second one was from DC.
Yeah, well, and I'm not saying, and
Who
nobody's
was it?
saying that there isn't any diversity in comic books. It's just that a lot of our mainstay characters that are from all these old things are mostly white people because of who was writing it. I don't think it's a bad idea to add a little more diversity between race and gender swapping, but as long as it still is the character. You could make, you could do like, oh, good example. On The Boys, Vic the Veep, they changed, or not Vic the Veep. Well, that he got changed as well. But Liberty, she Stormfront was a dude in the comics,
Yeah,
and when they changed her to a girl, it did change a couple aspects, but it still worked. Like, her being a girl wasn't her whole reasoning for being. Like, even when they played that up, it was because she was playing it up to the TV and shit.
yeah.
To the in universe cameras. Like, you can do race and gender swapping as long as it's not, heavy handed and shoved down your throat. Then people would be more likely to accept it, I think.
I mean, if it makes sense and you're not trying to, like you said, shove it down your throat, and it works within the continuity of the story you're telling, sure, that's fine. But
Yeah.
like, if you're taking these long established characters that everybody has known and loved and all this other stuff, and then you want to race or gender swap them just for the sake of trying to be diverse, I think you're just straight up a piece of shit about that.
Yeah, I can see that point as well. I mean, because again, these are characters that are these are pop culture icons that are deeply ingrained in our society. I mean, there's fucking statues of Superman. I mean, and there's a town called Batman. I mean, it's really tricky when you start dipping and fucking with people's nostalgia. And
Well, and it's already been proven too that when you're trying to establish a new, I'm going to use tokenize as a blanket term,
okay,
and like, whether you're trying to change somebody's race or gender for an established character, it does not work and it does not last.
typically,
Because whoever is writing it, mostly the writers, because it's in comics, the storyline sucks. Either the story new character that you get a success, like John Stewart Green Lantern, like that worked because they wrote him to make sense and they didn't get all preachy about it, and he is a very well beloved Green Lantern
yeah,
character. Like, he's one of my favorite Green
yeah.
Lanterns. Um,
But see,
but
like,
yeah, like,
that's and that's a good example of, instead of instead of just changing how like that's a really good example, especially with
just
something like
create
Green
a new
Lantern.
character. Just create
Yeah,
a new
create a new
character.
character. Of course, there is the issue. Like, I get that, like, trying to because these universes are so old now. Like,
Mm-hmm.
there's so many characters. How do you, without being like a legacy character, which people also love to shit on, Like if you don't do a legacy character, there's been so many different things. No matter what you do, it's probably been done. So like even if you make a new character, there's still going to be the negative people that say, well, it's just a Superman clone or whatever. But I mean, of course,
Yeah.
good writing can save that to where people overlook that shit.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, regardless of good writing or character development, you are going to have those dummies who are going to try to get too deep into it and say, well, it's just a rip off of so and so, or it's this discount so and so. But,
yeah. Well, like a good example of that, not but not for gender swapping, is another thing people get pissed off is when they change a character's sexual orientation for no reason. Like just suddenly this character's
that
gay
or
or
they
bi or
announce
something
that,
like that.
yeah, they announce that character's sexual orientation is this, and then it has nothing to do with the story.
Yeah, like that is dumb. But so you
It's
have
it's pandering.
it is pandering. But a good example of the swap of just create a new character is like they're absolutely. I don't know exactly how serious this fan base is, but with shipping, there's got to be people that ship Batman Superman's relationship.
Oh, it's
Um,
disgusting.
and but instead of appeasing fans and just saying that because that would be fucking people would shit all over that,
Hmm.
DC has Midnighter and Apollo, who is basically Batman and Superman, but they're a gay couple.
There's also Marvel's North Star, who is the first gay superhero,
That is true.
and they want to try to kind of turn all these established characters into tokenized characters, and they have not touched North Star in so long. And
Yeah.
he was a well written character too.
You know what? Speaking of announcing people's sexualities for no reason, it cracked me up when they announced Peter Quill in the comics as being pansexual or whatever, and the internet was like, "Oh my god, who gives a fuck?" Like, did you not assume that already? Like, he fucks aliens and everything. He doesn't seem to care who he has sex with. Like, oh, he just assumed he was pansexual. Like this. Oh,
I never
and the thing
got
with
that.
Loki. Like the
Well,
thing with Loki with this season
well,
when it came out, and they were like, "Well, now he's bisexual." It's like, have you not read Norse mythology? Loki once turned himself. If you have a problem with, I'm sorry for this Marvel tangent, but I have to say this. If you have a problem with Loki's character uh, in Loki having a romantic relationship with himself or a man, as it's alluded to at all, Loki in Norse mythology once turned himself into a horse, had sex with another horse to have a super horse that he could have. And not only did he do this, he didn't turn into the male horse. So if anybody has any
yeah,
problem,
he birthed Odin's horse.
yes. If
Yeah.
anybody says it's
Well, the issue,
weird character, he is objectively omnisexual. He will fuck anything as anything.
I think the term is asexual when you don't in Loki's.
Asexual is, I believe, asexual is where you have no sexual drive. Like you're not a sexual being at all. I may have that wrong, but I'm pretty sure.
I,
Hold on,
I,
we have Google. I'm looking this up.
Asexual, I think, is the scientific term for when a living organism can reproduce on its own. I could be wrong.
Oh no, I think you are right. Hold on. So what? Wait, what am I thinking of then? Oh, well,
Oh,
no,
okay,
no, we're
okay.
both
So
right. We're both right.
it's
Asexual, as an adjective, says not involving sexual activity, feelings, or associations. Non-sexual. Example: he led an asexual life. And the other one is for biology reproduction says not involving the fusion of gametes. So yes, it
right.
splits on its own.
Yeah. So I was gonna say, so technically Loki was kind of asexual, but they labeled him pansexual.
No,
Are you?
because either of those definitions are wrong. Because either if he was asexual, he would either have no sexual activity whatsoever, or he'd be capable of splitting himself in two to make a copy.
Well, I guess that applies when you got multiverse versions of yourself.
Well, no, because they're still birthed by someone else. What
or something else.
I think the best description would be pansexual or maybe omnisexual. I'm not sure.
I think pansexual, but
No, we're just gonna
because
say pansexual. Anyway,
yeah,
continue.
well, I think with Peter Quill, I think they announced that he was only bisexual.
Oh, was it bisexual?
I think so. Let me look it up.
Oh, okay.
But the thing is,
But
like
the thing is, who gives a fuck? Like, just let the character. If you write a character and Quill runs and bumps into a dude and is like, "Hey, you got a nice ass," leave it at that. Like, you don't have to make a fucking public statement that this fictional character is bisexual. We didn't need that.
well, I was gonna say like it's never been a thing ever. And again, the only reason they announced it is just to pander.
Yeah.
But also, it's you've got to look at the timing of when they announced it because
Oh, yeah, that's true.
it was at the height of when they're trying to call out uh oh god, the actor. Oh my god, Chris
Oh,
Pratt.
yes,
Chris Pratt.
because he's
Like
a Christian who likes to hunt.
yeah, because he's Christian. He's never been outspoken about his political affiliation, but he likes to do things typically associated with a particular.
Republicans.
Yeah, he likes to do things that are particularly associated with one side of the political aisle. So they made their assumption. So of course, the only way they can get at him is by making a character he's portrayed.
Well,
You know,
it was that, and he apparently went to a church where the preacher was vocally homophobic or something like that.
I think they tried to say the church was anti-LGBT or something like that, and I don't know if that was ever confirmed or what, or if that was one of those things where it was an incident that happened like 10 years ago, and there's been some sort of reformation since then.
Yeah, there's no telling with fucking Hollywood
But
BS.
the whole thing was very clearly a get back at Chris Pratt, and it's in the long run not going to serve any purpose whatsoever. But
It was definitely unneeded. Like,
yeah,
like I'm totally for this is more of like a real world opinion other than comic books, but I genuinely can't wait till coming out is not a thing anymore.
it
Like,
used to not be a thing. Like
well, I mean, like,
7 years ago,
well,
it wasn't a big deal.
no, I mean, well, the need to, or not need to, but the whole thing about it, no one comes out as straight. You know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah,
I can't wait till we don't need to do that. Like, we definitely didn't need a fucking notice put up about Peter Quills. They could have just had it happen in the story, and just like they didn't need to do a fucking press event about it or whatever.
yeah.
Like, I just wish it could be more like your son comes home and
It
says,
doesn't
"Hey,
need
Dad,
to be a
this is my
spectacle
boyfriend."
event.
Like,
Yeah,
yeah, like he doesn't sit you down and go, "Mom, Dad, I'm gay." He just goes, "Hey guys, this is Kyle. He's my boyfriend." And they go, "Hey Kyle, nice to meet you." Like, we don't need that in comic books, or not.
yeah.
I mean, we do need that in our pop culture. Sorry, I misspoke. I think we need more of that. Like, just fucking be what you are. Why do you? We don't need everybody to tell everybody shit. Just do it.
Just like make it more organic.
Yeah,
To a
like
sense,
in terms of the pop culture, at least. Like, in terms
to a
of the real
sense,
world, I
yeah.
hope we can get
I
there.
mean,
But in pop culture, we definitely don't need it. Like,
I'll just say
do it.
that it needs to not be a spectacle event.
Yeah,
Like
like if you're gonna do it and announce it, like organic is the best way. You had
it's
that.
kind of like gender reveal parties for babies. Like, why? Why are you having a party?
Yeah. Well, that I could kind of get behind.
I never
But
got it.
in
I
terms
never
of having
understood it.
in terms of having like as a family thing, like maybe you're a family and friend, because it's a celebration. You're having a baby. You're discovering
You're
this.
already going to be spending a lot of money on that kid. You don't need to be spending a money
Oh, but see,
to
that's the
reveal who
thing
they are.
is usually a gender reveal also comes with like essentially a baby shower. So you're not spending the money. You're throwing the party and everybody brings you presents.
That's true. but they've got to bring presents for a certain type of child, though.
No, they could bring both.
That
And
is
then
true
just
too. But
take the one that didn't, the color they didn't get, and just take that shit back to the store.
there you go.
Or if you're
Keep
smart, you
receipts.
take gender neutral clothes. You take
Well,
just general shit for the baby.
I mean, it's weird because blue's always been associated with boys, but I guess it depends on the tone of the blue.
Yeah, I think that's important too. If it's like a deep
I've always
royal blue, it's male. If it's like periwinkle blue, it's probably female.
yeah, I've always associated blue as like a neutral color.
Really?
A little bit, yeah.
I've always seen the neutral color as like tan, like beige.
That's a weird color to pick.
It's neutral. It's brown, so it's like all the colors, but it's faint. It's just kind of there.
It exists.
It's a very nature inspired color. So like it's very calming.
Sure. Sure, yeah.
But
Sure.
yeah,
And then when you have your baby, regardless of its gender, it's going to get raised on cocaine melons.
right. Well, I think the actual thing behind all of that is this, and I say this knowing that we're two dudes trying to start a podcast. It's this
You
need that
childless dudes.
everyone, yeah, like it's this need that everyone has, especially with the advent of the internet that connects everybody, is to be important. And so it's like, well, our thing's gonna go viral, or are this, we're gonna, yeah, like not everybody needs to fucking go viral and be famous. Like everybody
Except for
tries.
us. We have to go
Except for
viral.
us, we absolutely definitely are gonna go viral, and
We
it's
have to go viral.
100% important. But for
And it's
everybody else, fucking stop. Like, let us take all the viralness. Like, Poptards definitely needs it. We're gonna
I'm
have a
not
difficult enough time with a name as awesome as ours.
we're also not obligated to explain why we have to go viral. Just understand we have to go
No,
viral.
yeah, not at all. You don't need to understand it. Just know that it needs to happen. That's like as stereotypical, as cliche as it is. I'm totally, like, share, and subscribe. I'll turn into one of those motherfuckers if y'all don't make us go viral. And I, that'll be on the audience, not us.
You have an important task, audience.
You do. You got to help Pop Tards become the number one podcast in the world out of the literal millions. We have to be the.
All 7 of our listeners of various degrees.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna need all 7 of you. All of you got to put in as much work as we do, which admittedly is not a lot. So maybe you should do more than us.
This is a part where we circle back around and deem the audience the Suicide Squad.
You are the Suicide Squad. You listening right now, you are my TDK, and I need you to detach those arms and go and hit like and share and subscribe on all your friends' shit, and make sure we get to be the biggest thing in the world. And also, while you're doing it, you should follow me on Instagram at Pro Wrestling Nerd, and you should follow my buddy Josh. Josh, what's your tag?
That's disgusting.
What?
Why would you ask somebody to detach their arms to like, follow, and
Because then they could
share?
do it with the confidence that TDK had. He was winning that shit.
You're assuming these people are sitting away from their devices.
No. Not their devices. They have to detach their arms and go to other people's devices.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And matter of fact, if you can do it, you can reach more devices if you can detach your fingers. Like TDK didn't show us that, but if you can just detach fingers individually, I think that'd be the route to go. So yeah.
So we
Audience
want all you to
genius.
invest in a sweatshop style device setup where you've got iPhones lined up all across the wall,
Go to
liking
every
and
Apple store you see and just come to our YouTube channel and put it on every single iPhone. Every
yes.
single one. I actually used to do that to Apple stores, not with obviously our podcast, but I used to just go into Apple stores when I'd be playing around in the mall and put random shit on all the phones and tablets and shit.
I never got the chance to do that kind of stuff, and it wasn't until that that video of the meme of Gandalf head bobbing to the sexy sax. I wanted to put that on so many devices and I never got to it, but I'm sure millions of people out there ruin so many electronic stores doing it.
I always tried to find the weirdest shit. Like, I remember I did once that video of the bear getting hit in the balls, and I put it on every tablet, like just on YouTube.
Oh man, another one. Speaking of things to ruin electronic stores with
Oh, okay.
repeat videos of,
Always need good
uh,
ideas.
I know I showed it to you a long ass time ago, but there's a 10-hour of amazing. I think it's called Amazing Horse from
You're gonna have to
Weeble
tell me
stuff.
about this. I don't think I remember this.
It's look at my horse. My horse is amazing.
Mm-mm. You'll have to send this to me. I gotta.
I'll have to
I
send it
have to
over
know.
to you. Yeah,
Um.
it's from Weeble stuff. He used to crap out a bunch of little funny, like 2-minute videos of funny songs that just made absolute no sense, but they were just fun little quirky things. And one of them was I think it called Amazing Horse. Another favorite notable one was the Narwhal song.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
You know, it's a good one to do, and I've I've never done this, but if I could ever get a hold of, be able to do it, I'd love to find the biggest screen possible to do it. You know the Scott Sterling videos? You know what I'm talking
Refresh.
about?
Refresh me.
Scott Sterling is a goalie who keeps getting hit in the face.
Oh yeah, with the commentator and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I want to do. I would love to hit some like an Apple store or something like that and put the Scott Sterling videos everywhere. Or
that
if I
would
could
be.
somehow take a fucking like universal remote to Walmart and change all the display TVs.
You would have to learn the codes for the TVs.
Yeah, I did used to have. I bought one of those sonic screwdriver TV remotes, and it because it had a TV Be Gone feature.
Oh
Like
my
they
god.
and like it's a little device you can actually buy. It's a little key fob where it's got a button, and what it does basically it has a list of all the codes for like a universal remote would have, and it
Mm-hmm.
cycles through them and using I want to say RFID or maybe infrared. It cycles through till it finds it and shuts the TV off. So I used to like when I'd go places every now and then I would just take the sonic screwdriver with me, just like in my jacket pocket or something, and just turn TVs off. Like,
That's cruel, but I like it.
dude, it is the funniest shit. Like I went to a bar one night
Oh Jesus.
and they had football on the TV. And I'm
Of
sitting at
course
the
they
other
did.
end of the bar, and there's like maybe 5 or 6 people spaced away from everybody and me. And there's like 4 or 5 dudes watching this shit. And I'm just sitting at the end of the bar, and I'm drinking my drink, and I just very sneakily pulled it out of my pocket and hit the buttons and waited, and it cycled off, and it was perfect. This dude had punted the ball, and it's in the air. TV
Mm-hmm.
goes off. Like the moment he kicks it, it goes up, and the TV shut off, and all 5 dudes were like, "What the fuck?" It was great. So if by any chance when our audience starts to grow, if you're one of those dudes, that was me. Fuck you. Um,
That's mean.
I thought it was hilarious. I
That
thought it
is
was
mean.
hilarious. It is mean, but I thought it was hilarious. And if you're one of those guys and you don't like it, boohoo, because it was hilarious. I've also done it in the mall at like those kiosks where they have TVs set up showing off their shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's so fun to watch them just get confused to like, what the fuck's going on? Like they'll turn it on and then it turns off again and shit. It was great. I used to have a lot of fun playing around the mall.
You were YouTube pranks before YouTube pranks.
But see, I wasn't doing it for the clout. I was
You
just
were
doing
doing
it
it for
because
the
it was
lulz.
fun. Yes, I did it for the sheer joy of it.
You are chaos.
Chaotic neutral, sir. I didn't hurt anybody. I just, made some people annoyed.
Alrighty. Well, I guess on that note, then I guess we're gonna wrap it up. Is that it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, talked about quite a bit DC related. And
I
a few
think
other
that was
things.
like almost 3 hours. I don't even remember when we
Holy
started.
shit. Shit, probably 2 of that was just the Suicide Squad. Which,
Yeah.
again, if you have not seen Suicide Squad, ladies and gentlemen,
No,
go and
specify.
get it. Correct. If you have not seen the Suicide Squad, get you an HBO Max subscription. Watch that shit. Watch it twice. While you're there, watch the Snyder Cut and enjoy life.
Or you could just sail the high seas.
You could. If you don't want to do that, there are definitely places to go and watch it. But I personally think you should watch it on HBO Max so that James Gunn and the incredible crew and that put this fucking phenomenal movie together so they can get some of that love. That's just me personally. I mean, I'm an artist. I think support your artists. And James Gunn is absolutely an artist. This movie was incredible.
I think you also did a pretty solid job at keeping in line with the theme from Suicide Squad or the Suicide Squad by F bombing a lot. So
Yeah. Of course, that's just that. I mean, one could say that maybe they copied me. I mean, our podcast came out before the movie did. Maybe they saw how much I swear and
I won't
really
argue that. I can't argue that. So.
I know you can't. It's very possible. James Gunn is one of the 7 people. James Gunn, I'm happy you're here.
That's very true.
I love you.
It's very true.
Not
we
in
don't
a
know who's
romantic
watching
way.
us.
Not in a romantic way. I don't want to like fondle you or nothing, but I do kind of want to give you a hug that lasts a little too long. But that's just a little personal
You're lucky.
thing.
He'd probably enjoy that if you were a child.
On
that note, that is the end of this episode.
I just caught what you said. Oh my god.
And we'll be back maybe next week with another episode about whatever.
That has been Poptards. My name is Albert, and again, you can follow me at Pro Wrestling Nerd on Instagram. Josh.
All right. Yeah, I'm on Twitter, Instagram, JSC Barber. God, I hate plugging our shit.
I know. But we
eventually, I will say eventually, I guess we better get a social media thing set up for Poptards.
Well, I'm setting up one for all of my stuff, so I'll start plugging that one after this.
That's a lot of shit to plug.
It is. Well, I won't plug my personal page anymore. So if you're listening to these pages and we haven't censored out my personal page by then, subscribe, follow it quickly. Have a good day, guys.
Later.